Columbus, Indiana, and I'm a student in cybersecurity for penetration testing. Peace to the Saints. I really feel.
My name is Jabri Demario Taylor Ford, other known as Jabreezy. I'm a magician, and I just do a lot of creative stuff. I'm passing for.
Josiah Torres. I stay in Tampa, Florida, so I'm a travel MRI tech, so I'm all the way around.
My name's Austin Rodriguez. I'm from Miami, but I live in the Bay Area right now in Concord, and my occupation is amateur. I'm gonna be a boxer, professional boxer, athlete. That's you.
I'm Kene Okoye. I am a software engineer at one of those very large tech companies, and I am from Alabama, but I live in Seattle now.
Awesome. My name is Mitchell McCauley, creator of the Jab Journal. I'm from Idaho, and I'm big in e-commerce. I yield the floor.
My name is Tyshawn Alonso. I'm from Chicago. I do engine rebuilding for this company called Dickinson Fleet Services. I also create the varsity jacket. It's amazing. Also, I'm known on Instagram as Saint Name Greatness and also in the Discord. So give the floor.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is John Jacob Burns. I'm a graduate student at the University of Chicago. I study religion and public policy, and I'm originally from New Rochelle, New York. Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace
to the Saints. My name is Marcos Hurtado. I'm an at-home personal trainer for almost a decade, and I'm also working on competing in Muay Thai as well.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Barak Saleh, from Toronto, Ontario. Just graduated from data analytics from my program, and I give the floor.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Phil Hudson. I am a student at Purdue, and I'm a part-time safety consultant and rescue technician. I'm from Chicago, and I'm proud member of the Chicago Saints. I yield the floor.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
I'm Daniel Lopez. My artist name is Dan Lee. I'm a musician and a nursing student, and I'm happy to fellowship with you guys. I yield the floor.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Justice Wilcox. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm in the military. I'm currently stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Nick. I'm in Saint City. I'm a network engineer. I yield the floor.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Brandon Esperto. I'm from Portland, and I am the owner of Esperto Attire Merchandising and Logistics LLC. I sell pre-owned clothing online. I yield the floor.
Did you get to go?
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
My name is Christopher White, and I am actually a content creator, videographer, photographer, and I'm here to just fellowship with you all. Been here a couple of times, but I love it. I yield the floor.
Thank you. 1 second, gentlemen. Haven. Haven, don't search the lady.
Oh, yeah, I know.
All right. Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
Marquette Devon Burton, Saint City, Las Vegas, businessman. You guys ready to get this work in?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let us first allow the Saint to come in, introduce himself, and then we're going to get to work. It's a beautiful day. How you guys enjoying yourselves?
Good.
Very good, good. I see some new faces. Portland?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I used to do a little bit of business in Oregon. You from Portland or somewhere around Portland?
Somewhere around Portland.
Okay. So where I've been through McMinnville, Salem, Tualatin, is Lakers legal off?
Yeah.
Tigard, man, everywhere.
How you doing? Peace to the Saints, everybody. Named Giovanni. I know some of y'all know me, but
Location, profession.
New York, and right now I do social work. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find my way, but right now I do social work, and I'm from New York.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
My name is Misbah Awan. I'm a lady saint, and currently I'm a teacher in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm here just to support him on this business trip.
Absolutely. He's a real saint if you teach in Baltimore. What is our purpose here? Every time we come together, we're talking about what it is to be a man. This is always something that we come back to. We specifically want to look at these two aspects, businessman and soldier. But when we say businessman, we're not talking about in the traditional sense that we're always talking about when we're talking about product-based business. We're going to expand on that. We're going to be hyper-focused today on this soldier part. Every man should be a soldier. We're really doing something unique here. That's why this is not a conference, this is basic training. We're going to be formalizing the hierarchy today, making sure that you understand how we operate on a global level, taking you through our protocols, and we have Brother Alex X. Davis here who is going to be training you on security. So this will be very meaningful. Do pay attention. This is going to be something that will be important in the history of the organization. Here's our agenda for today. How to be a winning businessman. First part, winning. What we mean by that is everything you do, you should seek a victory. A winning businessman. Everything you do, you should be seeking victory, which requires fighting spirit. Business. Business is about profit. Everything you do, there should be a profit. There should be growth. Some people say it's not personal, it's business. For us, it's all business. Everything we do should have growth. It should have profit. If you're dealing with a female, together there should be some profit. Is she helping you grow your wealth? Is she helping you grow your reputation? Is she helping you grow your family? Everything you do is business. There should be profit. The last piece, man. Businessman. You have to be a man. What is a man? We hear this false idea of, oh, I'm in my masculine, I'm in my feminine. A man is a man, full stop. We don't need to transition back and forth between these different energies and this spooky shit. So we're gonna talk about it. Oh yeah, by the way, this is not school. You can shout out, say crazy stuff for free. Relax, enjoy. And we have a much smaller group on purpose. I didn't tell anyone what's on the agenda on purpose. Guys who have been to the conferences, you know the chairs go all the way to the back. It goes all the way to the back. We did this on purpose.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why wasn't my bag checked?
Good question. One, the reason we even did the pat down. Well, actually, I'm gonna give you a question. I'm gonna give you guys a question. Do you have any? You never been here, so I don't. This is the first time, so I don't want to ask you. Raise your hand if you have been here before for a conference. All right, so look at these guys. Look at the hands up. Okay. Were you guys checked or patted down during the conference?
No.
When you came in? No. Why do you guys, someone tell me, why do you think that you were checked at all when you came in?
Safety.
This is part of the training.
Someone said safety. Who agrees? Anyone? Why do you think he said? Do you think that's?
It's safety. It's part of basic training. And just having that realization that we're safe, that we're open to learn.
Okay. Anyone think we actually checked you for safety to make us feel safer?
No, I think it's like theater. It's to intimidate psychologically. I don't know, that's how it feels.
Yeah,
Or to stay on theme.
Yeah, precisely. We didn't check you for safety. I don't feel threatened by any of you guys. Most of you guys have a good sense of who you are, where you came from, why you're here. And if someone came in and they were crazy, I mean, the chances that they make it out of here alive are low. They're low, right? They're low. They're really low. That being the case, we actually checked you when you're coming in to set your mindset on what this is about and where we'll be moving toward. So, for example, when I said don't check the lady, if anybody should have brought in the clapper, it should have been her. Right? No, seriously. If anybody's going to come in with the clapper, it should have been her. And I specifically said don't check her because we don't have a lady here to check her. So we didn't actually check you for safety. We checked you to start running through our procedures because we're here for the training purposes. And truth be told, we don't really want to check our own. We want to check outsiders. And so we're just putting you through the process so that you understand how it's going to flow when we're in the regions. So truth be told, none of you guys should have been checked. There's no logical reason to check you. We're doing drills and dry runs.
Understood.
Yes, sir. That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm surprised nobody else asked that. Personally, I don't like to be checked in general. I don't like to be checked, but I'm willing to be checked if I were coming into a place like this. But that's an important piece, and we're going to get into that. Those are the kind of questions we'll be answering. SASN, global organization. So I've always started from the beginning saying that we're reforming global culture around the world. You guys know we have members around the world. We're going to give you a picture of exactly what it does look like in terms of how we're organizing and running things. Our competitive advantage in what we do is going to be organization, serious organization. We're going to break for a meal, and then we'll end it with being a man of power, why women need you to lead. So we're going to discuss, well, where does a man's power actually come from? What makes you a powerful man? And then why is it logical that you lead? Why do they actually need you to lead? And we're not only talking about your individual woman, we're actually talking about all women in the society require you as a man to lead. And then we'll close with the classified session time permitting, but we do want to wrap at 8:19 on time. By the way, no one here needs sleep, right?
No.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. You guys ready to get into this first session?
Yes,
sir. Very good, very good.
Just one more question.
Yes. Oh, yeah, talk to me.
So if I'm on my phone and I'm taking notes, I don't want you to think I'm being disrespectful.
You're an adult. You're an adult man, and as I said, this is not school. So in school, maybe they would say something to you. I'm not gonna say a damn thing to you because we charge a high price to block people out from coming. And you've paid to be here, and I trust that you're gonna get the value that you're seeking. Yes, absolutely. Anyone else have any disclaimers?
Do you mind taking pictures of the slides?
Yeah, feel free. And we're also gonna provide you with slides, and I'm actually screen recording this as well. That's why this timer is going. If you ever don't see this timer, let me know, because it's for you. All right, so we're also screen recording. Yeah, feel free to take photos. Yes.
I was just gonna say, if there's ever a moment where you all need to speak and need a safe space, I can always, step
Oh, okay, for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we should have brought you some earmuffs. This is crazy shit today. I'm trying not to curse.
You know, she watched.
All right, she already knows. How to be a winning businessman. Yes.
And also that water for us.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, help yourself.
Can you bring a couple of these bottles up and pass them around? Bring 5, just pass them around. If you want one, keep one. If you need one, go ahead and grab one. Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, I brought workout clothes. Everybody. Yeah. So are we gonna work out?
I can't say.
Can't say.
But what I will tell you is this. I'll tell you that we have some educational pieces. We're gonna go through all our education. And then after that, we're gonna do a dry run along Las Vegas Boulevard. And after that, maybe, depending on what's going on, I might hit people up at like 1 a.m. to go for a run on Las Vegas Boulevard or get a little workout. I might, you never know.
Okay.
You never know. Anybody else? Oh yeah, and by the way, I always want to run education in a different way, which is not to assume that I'm going to teach you what I want you to know, but I also want you to get what you want out. So we'll slow down where you guys have meaningful questions and inquiry. I'm not going to try to rush you through. But let's rock and roll. Being a winning businessman. Man, operative term. We're going to cover these two parts in getting there. Number one, have you been conditioned into female thinking and behavior? Female thinking and behavior. Thinking leads to behavior. Second piece, are you a part of the video game generation? What does that mean, the video game generation? What does that do to a human being, particularly a male? There are a couple guiding questions that we're going to answer during the space of this. Number one is, how have you been conditioned into female behavior that is chiefly female? Anybody have any thoughts on how they might have been conditioned into that? Yes, sir.
Probably grew up like a single mom, maybe from a single mom household.
That can do it to you for sure, absolutely. Yes, sir.
The education system, school.
Ooh, the schooling. How is that?
Man, they don't let boys be boys. I was gonna get in trouble repeatedly for everything. I'm like, I go back in my head, I'm like, was that really that big of a deal? Like,
it wasn't, and mostly you were getting in trouble for being a boy.
Yeah.
You're actually getting in trouble for being what you are, and they're trying to condition you out of that. That's a good point. Yes, sir.
Men being equal to women.
What do you mean?
I mean, I was always taught that a man and a woman are essentially the same. Like, we're completely equal on all fronts, and that's not true.
That's not true. And per tradition, let's make sure that we say our name and then our comments, so everyone can learn everyone's name.
Daniel. So I think I would be conditioned to think like a female, thinking we have to express every emotion that is, we have in our mind. Like, it's important to say everything.
Right, yes.
justice, the media, like TV and commercials and whatnot.
Like what exactly?
Like, you might see some TV shows that don't show the best, like, representation of a man.
Agreed. right. Can someone read this top question for us? Who has that one? Talk to me.
My name is John Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Why are women obsessed with equality/fairness?
You guys ever notice that? They always, like, they just, as you say, like, we're equal, and they want everything to be fair.
When it comes to them, like, when it's in their favor, they want everything to be equal and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of manipulation and gaslighting.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to approximate equality and fairness as much as they can, especially if it's a situation where they feel like they're down here, they want to get brought up so they can be equal and fair, even if it's not true. We're gonna talk. Anybody ever heard this term, diversity and inclusion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody raise their hand and tell me where they heard this at. Where'd you hear it at?
Pretty much everywhere in the Bay Area.
Exactly.
Whether you go anytime,
Yeah, you live in San Francisco,
anytime
Bay
you hear
Area.
it.
And equity? Where'd you hear this term?
I'm a musician, so a lot of in the art space, so a lot of people talk about this.
A lot of liberal folks there. Yes, indeed.
What's equity?
And nobody, who knows? I don't know. I ain't come here to teach you what I don't know what that is. That's the problem. Nobody knows. I don't know. They don't know. I think what it means is if you're beating me or if you're winning or if you're outperforming me, I get to stand next to you like we're at the same level, even if we're not at the same level. I think it means even if you work harder and smarter and you should earn more money, I still get to earn the same amount of money as you. I think that's what it means, but I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I don't know.
In June of 2020, Kane here, in June of 2020, there was this picture being spread around where there were 3 people standing over a brick wall trying to watch a baseball game, and they had a ladder at the same height, but there was a baby, a grown man, and then a woman. And so equity is supposed to be, oh, here's different sized ladders for you all, so that way you're at the same height and you can see the baseball game.
Oh yeah, they got all kinds of metaphors for it. Yeah, they got all kinds of interesting ways they explained it. Who asked this question for us?
So, you want me to read it first? Well, Marcos, why do her female friends matter in your relationship? My answer is so they can contribute and give insight.
Okay, to her. Not to you, or to both of you.
Yeah,
Okay.
to the family as a
Anybody
whole.
experience that where like you're in a relationship with Shorty and it seemed like her homegirl is like telling her stuff about you and like how things should be in your relationship? Strange.
It's like they say, well, blank says, or well, blank's boyfriend says,
Right.
or does.
Right. Like it should run what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mine, we
My
just made
question.
up quotes step after.
Alex, we call them the council. So if you want to see who controls the relationship, just look at her friends. That's the council.
Yeah. And we're also going to talk about why you will never break that bond. Like whoever that girl is, her girlfriend, that's telling her all that stuff that's impacting your relationship, who actually has real influence in your relationship. If she's a bad person or if you hope she would stop hanging out with that girl, that's not about to happen. And we're going to explain scientifically why that's the case. Why don't females take accountability? Anyone have a sense of that? And let me make it easier. Beyond nature, beyond saying like they're just born that way, like about how they're raised, like why might they not take accountability?
Because they essentially, when you speak about things like equity and equality and diversion, which are all like around this female mind frame of thinking, they don't want to say that it's their fault. The reason they don't take accountability is because they don't want it to be their fault. They might want to be in a position of leadership. They might want to have their opinions heard, but when they don't want them to be tested. They more so just want to express, and that's like kind of like what they like to do. They want to express themselves. They're not necessarily like moving toward an objective of thinking.
He said they're not moving toward an objective, also known as a goal. That's interesting. Okay. All right.
I think Shabrizi had his hand up.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say accountability comes with a level of self-awareness, and
Self-awareness, like aware of yourself.
of yourself, yeah. And when you do have self-awareness, you're able to assess yourself. It's not something I think many women want to do, and also the culture doesn't enforce it. So since the culture doesn't enforce accountability on their half, therefore they won't do what isn't enforced. You know, like they'll take the government programs easily, right? They'll take whatever the bigger entity is giving them. And if it's not giving them accountability, they're not going to take it.
I want you to remember some of the things that the gentleman pointed out. You mentioned an objective, you mentioned self-awareness, aware of yourself. Sometimes you there's certain levels of self-awareness you only get from other people, right? Like if you have something in your nose right now, you wouldn't know unless I told you, right? No, you're good. But you'd have to ask me, right? I have to just voluntarily tell you for you to be self-aware of that. So self-awareness comes from external feedback, right? So we're going to get into the scientific and sociological reasons as to why women have less self-awareness. It's very meaningful. Now I'm going to read this one to you because this one's messed up. Make us all look stupid. How have men allowed themselves to become victims in societies that we created? It doesn't even matter which man you are. You be Mexican man, white man, black man, Asian man. They're getting us all. And I don't care which man you are. You created and formed a society. And today you're being victimized and dominated in the society, whether it's child support, alimony, you name it. Hashtag #MeToo, fake domestic violence cases. It's an infinite number of ways you are being dominated in the society that you created. It's called the founding fathers. It's never been the founding mothers, right? The men that founded the society.
Marquette,
Yes.
none of the above is watching right now. He asked if they can also provide answers.
They can provide questions. They can provide questions. If they have questions, shoot the questions, but the answers will kind of slow down a little bit.
Okay.
I appreciate that excitement. Now, here's what's messed up. Check this out. The War Against Boys. That's a book. That book was written in the year 2000. I didn't read it in 2000. I was quite young, but I read it when I was in university. I was 16 years old when I read this book. I had an English professor named Dan Meyer. He assigned this book. This was a book written by a woman who was a feminist. She did a whole bunch of research trying to figure out how girls are being abused in the educational system because girls are not getting fair treatment. She did all this research as a feminist, and then she figured out, turns out, the boys are the ones being abused in the educational system. They're learning to read slower. They're being miscategorized as mentally retarded or emotionally disturbed. They have higher instances of suspension. All of their behaviors are being identified as problematic, which are all behaviors that are naturally wired to the boy, the male child. This came out in 2000. To write a book, it takes time and research, especially if it's an academic work, right? Valerie Hoff Summers is an academic, which means that she had to observe this occurring and then take time to write it. So if the book is published in 2000, she observed this in the 90s. And the book is called The War Against Boys. We are the result of losing the war. This is an old book saying men are fucked over. It's written in 2000. Now what is this war? This war is essentially that women have come to dominate. Everything is trying to dominate, and it's okay. The only thing that's not okay is when you're on the side that's not dominating, you're losing, which is what we're on right now. And we've been seeing this in 3 major theaters. Theater number 1, which Jabrizi mentioned straight away, which was schooling. College is over-enrolled female to male right now. It's like 60% female, 40% male. That's why increasingly when you look to power holders, your political leaders, your judges, your lawyers are going to be females controlling things. Also, schooling is oriented on a female basis, which is sit down for 5 hours, don't move, don't say anything, don't get out of your seat, and remember to raise your hand before you say something. I'm making him submit. This is a female modality. Work is increasingly dominated by the females. We got an HR department, and one thing they love is diversity and inclusion, which means they will include females even where it doesn't make sense for them to be, like construction. There's a house being constructed here. There's 3 women I observe on a regular basis. They're not doing any work. They're just holding the sign, you know, because that's pretty much all they can do. They're not doing heavy labor, but they're included because we need diversity. Even though it's not appropriate for women to be there, we're going to bring them in. Oh yeah, and by the way, also we're going to implement draconian policies in your job, which means that if like a woman feels uncomfortable, you're about to get on paid suspension or maybe unpaid suspension. And what's the definition of uncomfortable? You were staring at me. Okay, I thought we have to make eye contact when we talk to people. That's staring, okay. And then politics. Child support, alimony. Well, what is the concept of alimony? That means we're no longer in a relationship. We have no legal ties, but I'm forced to pay you money? What sense does that make? Especially all the while you're making just as much money as me and you're saying that you're equal. Why would I pay you? That doesn't make any sense. You were never a stay-at-home mother. You were working the whole time we were in a marriage. So what sense does it make? These are the three major theaters of war, and this is where we've been losing. And woman culture has been imposed upon us in these three major areas. Now, let's try to understand the actual nature of the female. So we're going to talk about the nature of the female as well as the male. We're going to understand it through modes of play. We're going to get a little bit academic, so work with me. So we're talking about how girl children play when they're among girl children and how boy children play when they're among boy children. This is based on nature, right, which is natural to you. It's before anyone teaches you what to do. So when girls are together playing with each other, or not playing with each other, playing together, when girls are playing together, well, they generally play in certain ways. I'm going to talk to you about the research by Dr. Janet Weaver. She's a sociologist from Northwestern. And the nature of girls, when they're among each other, the things that are common in each girl, this becomes what's known as culture. And culture regulates behavior. I'll give you an example. People like to suggest, liberals, they like to suggest, well, men are taught to hold it in. That's correct. It comes from male culture. That doesn't mean men don't have feelings. That means when we're a boy and we express how we feel, other boys either didn't listen, didn't care, or socially sanctioned us, condemned us, so we stopped because it's not productive. And that becomes male culture. Nature, we have the nature to express. We're human beings. We have the nature to express, but the culture tells you not to. Do we understand the difference between the nature of the male and the culture of the male? Mm-hmm. The nature is to express, but the culture is that we don't care to listen. So now you're less inclined to express when you're among other males. Yes?
Would you even say that with human talking? Because the voice box isn't even meant to, you're supposed to express sounds and stuff like that, but over, I guess, culture, like humans wanting to express themselves, they actually started developing language over time. But like, you're not, that's why we get like throat diseases and such, because we're not supposed to be opening our mouths and talking the way we're supposed to.
Man, you tell that to a broad, that's gonna be cold. Shut your mouth when you catch a disease. Shut your mouth when you catch a disease. That's crazy. Conversing with the females, female nature, being human, their nature is to express. When females express to one another, what do? Talk. And they listen. They listen. They're sympathetic. So the culture becomes what? Express yourself. We'll listen. We'll sympathize. We'll console you. So woman culture is to talk and to listen. And that's why women tend to be more verbose, because they're used to being listened to in their culture. Now, we understand how the nature crystallizes into culture. Now let's get into the research. Outside versus inside. What does this mean? Anybody have any guesses? Talk to me. We're moving quickly.
Play outside versus play outside?
Yeah. Who, what, when, why? Talk to me.
The guys play outside, do activities, get dirty, do the work. Girls play inside, just do their thing inside.
Precisely. And it's a major difference in the way that we play and expresses our nature, and it builds our culture. So in expressing the nature, boys play outside in large organized teams. We get together, it's a lot of people, it has to be organized, and it matters that we actually collaborate and work together effectively in a large group. And it's outside, which means it's independent, which means we know how to function without adults overlooking us. Conversely, girls tend to play inside, and not only do they play inside, when they play inside, they're usually in an unstructured situation. There's no team, it's just two of us. Me and this girl, or maybe me and 2 or 3 girls. It's a small amount of people because it's indoors. It's sheltered, parents are around, we're within the house. They generally play inside while boys play outside, historically. And even when girls do go outside, they play much smaller games. Jump rope. One girl on this side, one girl on that side. Turn in the rope, one girl in the middle. That's 3 people. Hopscotch. That's the weirdest. Who thought of that shit? That's the dumbest, weirdest game ever. Or tag. Then 6 girls run around, touch each other. Okay, it's done. That's their games. That is their games. Why does that matter? Well, let me ask you guys a question. Say you're playing Barbie dolls, right? How do you know who's won at Barbie dolls?
Who's made the biggest complaint?
Possibly, but mostly you don't. Why don't you know who's won? Like, why's that another thing?
Because the goal is just for everyone to express themselves, and so everyone is just heard out and everything, and got the play out of their system, and that's when the game ends.
Wow. Okay. You don't. There is no winning. That's a meaningful thing to understand about the nature of these beings that we're trying to interact with and manage. So their play is actually circled around relationships. The only reason that they're actually playing is to engage with one another and be friendly and connect. That's the actual goal. There is no winning. So whereas their goal is literally to connect, our goal is generally the complete opposite, which is our relationships are not about connecting, it's actually adversarial, which means that we're in direct conflict every single time, and it's all about winning. And most importantly, when they're trying to connect with each other, they're trying to connect like this. What we're trying to do is establish, you're a loser, I'm a winner, which means that we're all about hierarchy. Does anybody remember one of those initial questions we're trying to figure out? Why are women all about equality and fairness? I was like, beyond the actual nature, it actually goes to their conditioning. They're actually trained on there being no hierarchy. Yes.
I have a question. Would you say this is why even when a girl is expressing something negative, they'll look at that girl who's expressing something completely wrong or something negative as the leader, just because she's expressing herself in a group setting? You know, everyone could be fine, but if this girl has like a problem with you or something, if you were talking to them, like everyone's fine with it, but she's just expressing something completely untrue and it's very negative and the emotions are stirred, they'll listen to this girl even though they didn't necessarily feel that way.
Well, one thing you'll observe, kind of to your point of a woman saying something that might be off color or out of sync with what the other women are thinking. You ever observe like when girls are on a dating podcast and maybe one girl's like all these girls like, oh, I have a body count of 5, I have a body count of 5, I have a body count of 3, I have a body count of 2, and then one girl's like, I have a body count of 30, and then the guy's like, okay, she has a body count of 30, is she a hoe? And the other girl's like, no, like she looks, it's different than me, but no. They don't want to. They don't want to condemn her and put her below, because they also know that in turn could happen to them, and they're maintaining the equality.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah. What you got?
So what do you say when you know, you got the cock block friend, right?
Okay.
Like, are they? What is that nature there? Because I don't know if are they leveling the playing field? Like, I'm in a relationship, she's single, so she in a relationship because I'm in a relationship. Like, what is that?
You know, that's a fascinating dynamic. I don't want to go too far off, but one thing I would think about is when you're looking at the female relationships, it's about intimacy. And one of the things that we had kind of mentioned very quickly here was when the guys go into teams, these are bigger groups. The girls go into an unstructured pair. So their bonds are really strong and tight. So they might not be able to be wanting you to break them two apart, because once you slide in as a guy, now you've broken them two apart and one is off to herself. That might be a subconscious driver. She also might think she knows what the girl really wants and knows what's good for her. You know, there might be a number of reasons, but I think it's really breaking that pair, which is core to the female intimate relationships. Their pairing is much stronger than our pairing, because we're pairing about the team. The whole team matters, which means any one of our individual relationships is actually a lot less meaningful and consequential, because we're in a big group, whereas their group is smaller, so each one of their relationships matters a lot more. And because we organize on a team for the sake of winning, not for anything else. They organize in a pair for the sake of being together. So for that reason, that's the ultimate end. They didn't go out that night to meet you. They went out that night to actually hang out with their friends. But if I bang you like, oh, let's hit the strip, We going out to holler at some hoes. Right? I don't give a fuck what happened to you tonight. I'm trying to holler at this hoe. Right? Yeah. And that's the problem with no relationships. That's why a lot of our relationships are actually hollow, because they have to be oriented on a specific outcome. Mm-hmm. We don't even really get together unless there's an outcome. Like, if I hit you, like, hey bro, let's hang out this Sunday. Like, oh, you want to watch the game? The Raiders playing? Nah, let's just hang out. Okay, you want to work out? No, let's just hang out. Then you start thinking, this dude's weird as hell. What are we gonna do? It has to be an outcome. And that is a radical difference in nature, that in failing to actually comprehend the female's nature, that's why we don't understand them, that's why we can't master them, we don't get them. And that's why we're being mastered by them right now. Now, so boy games, so we got, the girl games are about relationships, and girl games are about relationships. Boy games are about winning. We want to establish a hierarchy. We need to be the winner if we're raised in healthy male nature. Here's the thing. Every time we engage in a game, it's a rule-based game. All of our games have rules. There's a way to be right, there's a way to be wrong. There's no way to play house wrong. You have to be a dumb broad to do hopscotch wrong, right? You have to be really dumb. Football, basketball, hockey, all of these are hierarchical, team-based. There's a coach, there's a team captain, there's a star player, and most importantly, there's a bench warmer, which means you can literally be taken out of the game because you're not good enough. Somebody mentioned self-awareness. You mentioned that earlier. If you're a boy growing up in sports and you get sat on the bench, what do you learn?
You suck.
You learn something, right? Like, you might not be competent, everybody else might be super good, you might not be hardworking, you might have been ball hog, something was off, and that was teaching you something by being benched. There's no bench in girls' sports. If you're playing house, you're playing dolls. What are the rules? How do you win? Who's the coach?
No coach.
Who's the team captain?
No captain.
What are the positions?
None.
How do you get benched? Like, if you're fucking up, like, how do you get benched? Oh, you ain't playing dolls right. Sit over there. No, everyone stays in. That's why the understanding of having we're equal and fair is fundamental to their culture. And that's why when we try to explain certain concepts to them, it just doesn't resonate. There's no internal content structure, meaning significant previous experience where it makes sense. That's why you have a girl who might think she's an 8 and you tell her she's a 5. It's not going to resonate. They've not had the experiences of self-awareness that come from other people. When the coach says, sit on the bench, you know you fucked up. Like, you don't have to wonder about that. But the girls don't go through those experiences. That's why they have flat organizations. We're all peers, and the most important communication thing to them is love. It's all about love. It's relationships. It's love. I love my best friends. I love my man. Love, love, love. Feminine. The problem is some of us become feminine, and then things become about love to us. That's problematic. Like, our romantic relationships become about love, and we've even been taught about that in movies. That's actually not what our relationship should be about as a man. And our nature, there's hierarchy, and what we crave the most, if we're actually living naturally, is respect. We need our woman to respect us. You ever had a woman love you but not respect you? Yeah. Anybody had an experience where a woman loved you but she didn't respect you, she didn't show you respect? Oh, you got one?
For sure.
What you got?
Right, just talking reckless. Like, who are you?
Talking crazy, like she beat your ass.
Right. Like, who are you?
And you know why they'll talk to you like they'll beat your ass? Because they never had their ass kicked.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
They've never had their ass kicked. Like, all of you guys have either had your ass kicked or you had the opportunity, you knew it was real, a real thing. They don't get the self-awareness, so why wouldn't they talk crazy? Like, if you could talk crazy and Shaquille O'Neal and get away with it, you wouldn't consider it if he got you mad? And that's the world that they're actually living in. Here's the most important thing to understand. They will prioritize this relationship over everything. These are two people. This is one person. This is how we are. We'll play on the team, but it's really about us. It's about our outcome. And most importantly, they're sitting having tea with each other. He's wearing basically a military outfit with padding, kind of like armor, like you might go into war. And he's willing to run you the fuck over for his respect. He's willing to lay your ass in the dirt for his respect. That's what a man actually is about. I will run your ass over for my respect and feel fine about that. These ones won't do it. That's not how they're wired. They're trying to become wired that way, and they're being very aggressive. It's outside of their nature. They're trying to adopt man culture. We're leaving man culture because we're concerned about love. We get effeminized, ruins our relationships, when really we need to make it about respect. This is a really important thing I want you guys to understand, because this is how we're being destroyed as men. I want to bring a lot of research to you guys to understand this. So, who can figure out what I mean by public versus private games? This is tough.
Audience, my audience. I was gonna say that.
What's that?
Audience, no audience.
Yeah, but even as boys and girls, when girls play their games like jump rope or hopscotch, usually girls like to play indoors when they're like left to their own devices. They'll play indoors if they're at school playing recess. So play hopscotch or jump rope, whatever they do. There's usually not an audience. Yes.
It's just it's like more on who can play and who cannot play.
What do you?
So like public, like anyone can come and play. So you kind of gotta make your own position in the game. And private, like no, we better you so it's okay to come play and do whatever you want, kind of, in my opinion.
Well, the funny thing with girls, if anyone wants to play, they're gonna let you play. With girls, if anyone wants to play, they're gonna let you play. Because there's actually no metric to rule you out. So if you want to go play dolls, yeah, sure, come and play dolls. And with girls, the research indicates that, say they're different ages. If the girls are, say, in the 4th grade and the girl in the 1st grade wants to come and play, they'll actually turn her into the doll. So they'll go from playing with the dolls, and then she becomes the doll, and they play the mother caretaker figure with her as the actual doll.
They're good at making things like their pets and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yes. That's why all these girls say things like, I'm a dog mom. I'm a dog mom. That's a really filthy thing in general. Like, you're the mother of a lower beast? That's strange. Do you ever hear a guy, I'm a dog dad? They say dog's a man's best friend, but we never said it's our kid, right? Like, it's an explanation of the nature very clearly. What you have to understand with the private versus public games, this is what you need to understand about evolving into a man and your existence on this earth. Private games. Girls play hopscotch, jump rope, all this stuff. No one's watching. It's generally private. Even if it's outside, it's not a spectator in occasion. Even when little boys are playing games, like when I was in elementary school, we all played basketball. The girls sit on the bench, they watch, we play the game. The boys who ain't good enough didn't get picked. They sit on the bench, they watch, we play the game. That's private versus public. When there's spectators, that means that there's what? Pressure, judgment, criticism, feedback. More importantly, what you need to understand is the evolution. If a girl gets really good at playing hopscotch, what does that evolve to? Nothing. If she gets really good at jump rope, what does that lead to? Nothing. Right. If this little mother, this kid right here, if this kid right here starts crossing people up like Kyrie, what's that lead to? NBA. Yeah, this shit right here. This shit that people pay millions of dollars for. Which means that you're experiencing pressure here because your parents know you can end up here. Our society is wired with boys to experience pressure here in this environment when you're an actual child. The boy lived experience is pressure filled the entire time. You're put into a pressure cooker and we're hoping you can get here. The problem is that most of us are not built for that pressure, so we crack, and instead of doing the manly thing of making the progression to here, we say, I don't want to participate. I'm going to transition from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner because being Caitlyn's easier. Because all I have to do to get famous as a woman is show my ass. Did you know that? Like, there are women who just show their ass and they can get more YouTube views than I can get, like, saying the deepest shit you ever heard? Facts. Yeah, they have to show their ass. It's a lot less pressure. But here's the thing that men are not figuring out. This is a metaphor. Going from here to here is a metaphor. Most of you guys are not going to play basketball and go to the league. Most of you guys are not going to play hockey and go to the NHL and play baseball, go to the MLB. The thing is with men is you have to pick a game, and get good as hell at it. That's what our progression is. Pick a game that you're good at and good as hell at it. That's a requirement for us to be successful and get respect and then get all the other things that we want in life. Women have no such pressure. But the problem is that we start cracking under pressure because we have not gotten the proper formative experiences that allow us to deal with pressure. These kids are dealing with pressure on teams with rules and coaches and referees. Girls don't experience this. That's why they don't like pressure. They always say, I'm not judging. They don't experience this. They don't want to experience this. Their nature doesn't like it, and more importantly, girl culture didn't give them the training. This is training. Some of us have missed out on it. Now, what we have to understand is that girls, they prioritize relationships over winning, and boys, we prioritize winning over relationships when we're mentally healthy. Here's another piece to understand a little bit more thoroughly. When they say relationships, they're talking about intimate relationships. I really know this person. You'll see girls who are heterosexual in a picture, like with their faces touching, like smiling at the camera, taking a selfie. It's very intimate, doing things we would never do. Like, for example, after I get out of the shower, my back is dry as hell. I have a brother that shares my actual blood. I would never say, hey bro, would you put some lotion on my back? I'd be wanting to, because my back be drier than a bitch. But I just can't pull myself to be like, bro, just put some lotion in the middle too. I just can't do it. It just seems awkward and weird. No disrespect to anybody if your brother puts lotion on you. Do what you do. But I can't do it. Because our relationships as men are generally not that deep. They're fairly hollow, and they're all utilitarian, which is there has to be utility, which is why when guys ask me, Marquette, how can I network in events? Well, you have to go in there with a goal, and you have to be asking for help or offering help. Saying, hey bro, I like those socks. And like, we're not gonna vibe like that, whereas a woman can be like, oh, where'd you get your nails done? It's a match made in heaven now. They're gonna make progress. So our relationships are about the team and it's about winning. The relationship is actually fairly hollow. Get you a part of a team. If you're in a part of a team, you're the odd man out, you're screwed. Women's relationships, it could just be a one-on-one thing or a small group, but either way, they're intimate, meaningful relationships. If you don't understand these things, you're gonna end up in a bad situation. Suicide rate high among men, depression high among men, not women. Why? Because our relationships are generally hollow, and if we don't have a goal or a team, then we have really no relationships. We're fucked. We end up extremely isolated and vulnerable if we don't have a goal or a team. Women can have no goal and no team and still have relationships. Yes, somebody had a question. Yes.
Can you emphasize the importance of being on a team again?
you emphasize it?
Yeah, just emphasize it a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's critical. Like, for example, number one, pretty much everything you do in life is going to require collaboration if you want to achieve at the high level, whether it's business or it's actually a literal athletic team, but more so you should be thinking in terms of business and corporations. I'll actually be talking a lot about teams throughout the whole day, so keep tuned. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the video game generation. Yes, sir.
I saw something very fast.
Yeah.
Where did the lone wolf come from? Because that doesn't, they make it seem like some good, but as you just said, you get fucked if you're the lone wolf.
No, you really do. You really do. And it's a bad metaphor because even boxing, which is essentially a one-on-one sport. Now remember, boxing and golf, for example, which seem to be like one-on-one sports, these are not kid sports. Like most kids don't grow up boxing. They grow up playing team sports, right? And even when you start boxing maybe later in life, you still have a team. Trainer, cut man, conditioning coach, all these different things. The lone wolf concept is not sensible. What it would be the closest metaphor to is saying that we're always in competition, and in as much as that's the case, like yeah, you can be a lone wolf. Like Kobe used to go and shoot 1,000 threes in the gym by himself. Yeah, he's a lone wolf in that sense. But a lone wolf is a dead wolf. Wolves are in packs, right? It's a wolf pack. We all know this. Yeah, the lone wolf is just some goofy shit, but people say a lot of, no, really. People say a lot of errant things, and they repeat it, and then we start to think it's true because it's been repeated. Now let's think. Video games. How many of you guys have played video games? How many of you guys play video games? Guilty, guilty, guilty. This man raised his hand with a smile. He got his fucking 2K up front. This man inspired. Are there real teams in video games? I'm actually asking because I've never played video games. I'm not a video game player.
Yeah, so you'll have certain things like hierarchy and team and loyalty in video games actually, but it's not based in the real world. Like for example, like Call of Duty, like you'll have different clans. You'll have like the highest ranked people who get the most kills and everything. They'll communicate like they'll naturally like the best players will want to like link on a team.
So let's talk team, right? So okay, so say you got your Call of Duty team, right? You've been playing with these same dudes. Do you play with the same people every time, or how that works?
It depends. So you could make a lobby and then play with those people.
This is complex. Okay.
All
right. So let's just say yeah, for the sake. I know it's not always the same people. Let's just say it is.
Yes.
So 2 years, nigga, you've been on the game, on the sticks, playing Call of Duty, nigga. I don't even know if it's a gun or a controller. I don't even know, but you've been playing this shit for 2 years. Same people. Okay. And then say, alternatively, your brother, he's been playing basketball for 2 years. Same people. Say y'all both on the Las Vegas Strip, right? You're here, your brother's here.
Yes.
Or you're seeing your friend. You're here, your friend's here.
Yeah.
You've been playing 2K for 2 years with the same people. You've been playing basketball for 2 years with the same people.
Yeah.
He's walking down the street.
Yeah.
And all the people you've been playing basketball with are across the street. All the people you've been playing video games with are across the street. What's going on here? What's going on here? Then Debo is walking by. 2 Debos. And they see your man, they see your friend, they see him sneak, bing! And then the other Debo see you, bing! And then he see you go down and he like, all right, you know, I'm a, you know, so he winding up and taking his time and shit, right? He like, he coming way back here like, like hunting your shit, right? All right, cool. So he punting the fuck out your head. Across the street is your gaming buddies. What are the chances they're gonna see you and recognize you and then decide to go help you?
Very low.
They're like damn near zero, right? Because that's gonna make a face or your name, right? They're gonna make a face or your name, right? Okay. Now the basketball buddies, what are the chances your friend they're gonna recognize and then go help them? Oh,
Yeah, most likely.
100%. It's like 100%. You must not have been on the team, nigga. They're like 100% actually. You ever seen a fight break out during a baseball game?
So they all jump off.
Niggas got out there, get out! Niggas been ran out, they got shit to do with them. And that's an important psychology that men must understand. All for one, one for all. It doesn't even matter what the fuck y'all fighting about.
That's right.
He's my man, I'm jumping in. Now here's the problem. You guys think I'm talking about teams, I'm talking about business, I'm talking about life.
Yeah.
If you read my book, The Black Box, one of the things I recommend to parents, I said, do not keep moving your kids around when they're young, from school to school. They don't have a team, they don't have any friends, they don't have long-standing relationships. If I asked you to loan me $1,000, you'd be questioning because you haven't known me that long. But if you knew me for 10 years, I said, loan me $1,000. If you got it, you're gonna give it to me. They have short-term relationships, they don't have a team, especially male children. So here's the thing. You gotta fake, and I'm no disrespect to these video game kids, but I'm telling you these things not so you can go back in time and re-raise yourself because you can, but so that you understand where your deficiencies are, so you can correct them and get with a team and start winning, because it's critically important. You have a fake team in video games. You could have played with these motherfuckers for 10 years. They don't know your face, they don't know your legal name, they don't know shit about you. Maybe you exchange like, oh man, my girlfriend's acting like a bitch, like while I don't know what you saying you like Call of Duty, I don't know. But maybe you can share all this information, but they don't know your face. They see you getting your ass kicked. These nerds, oh my gosh. Like, they gonna walk by. But if it was somebody that you play ball with, oh, they're gonna run over there and get it in. But you didn't grow up playing sports, did you? Because you said as a percentage.
No, but here's the thing, right?
I'm gonna want you to whip your ass all over.
It's like, so I was moved from school to school.
Right.
So, and like on some lone wolf stuff to touch on what he's saying, like for me to adapt, I had to learn at like a very young age kind of how to connect with people very quickly.
Right.
So I had to naturally, like I kind of adapted to like different environments.
Right.
I was moved all over Florida.
And that's problematic. You have to slide in, but the problem is when the relationship's not long standing, you can't utilize it for those critical things in a man's life experience, right? And that's really what you need, but like the team is there for winning. And the team has to trust you and rely on you. There has to be that interdependence.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the major experiences that folks are missing when they are a part of the video game generation, which is not necessarily an age generation. There are people older than I who play video games. People younger than I who play video games. I just happen to not ever pick them up because I was outside a lot. Were you raising your hand?
No.
You were stretching your shit. Okay. Loyalty, we kind of touched on the loyalty piece as well. Yes.
So, I know you grew up in like a harsh environment and everything because I read your book and everything.
Yeah.
So, I guess like to touch on your team thing, like the reason I probably never, and I would like your input on this, like I don't think the reason I didn't go on a team was because I didn't really feel like I didn't like relying on anybody in the sense of like I'm moving around all these different places. I kind of figured I was an all for one, one for all for me kind of in a sense. And I built very like, you talking about hollow relationships and stuff, I kind of.
Say you're this kid, right?
Yeah.
What kind of decisions are you making about your life?
Ball.
None.
Yeah.
None. Did he decide to get in this league? Hell no.
His parents
How do you
couldn't
get in
do
the
it.
league?
His parents.
Right.
Parents, yeah.
Right. This is what I'm talking about. So I'm talking to you as a man you are today. You might say, okay, there's some things I need to train myself on or some weaknesses in my life I gotta fix. I'm also speaking to you as a father tomorrow. This kid didn't decide to get in this league. His parents decided because it's good for him.
Yes.
As they should. And even if he said, I don't want to go to practice every single time, they should still make him go. Right? Now I know you're facing it from, but you were never forced to go, so you don't know what the outcome was. You see what I'm saying? Like you were never forced, so you don't know what the outcome was. So you're looking at it as a person who didn't get forced to go through the process. This kid could have been forced to go through the process. But I kid you not, like I think about this damn near once a week. I remember we had a championship game for my football team, and my mom was like angry about probably nothing, certainly nothing that had to do with me. And I was like, I need to go to football practice right now. And she was like, I ain't taking you to football, you didn't did it. She like made up some shit because she didn't want to drive. And I didn't get to go to practice, which means I didn't get to go to the game. I feel like it's affected my whole life. And I still think about this on every like once a week, just like, damn bitch, I want to go to that game. My mom like called me recently. She was like, hey, can you buy me an iPhone? I wanted to like, shit, you can take me that fucking game. Shit. I got her an iPhone, but I wanted to say that I didn't say I held it in. I held it in. Instead of holding things in. But in reality, the importance of fathers, a father would have got you to that game. And a father should force you to play even if you don't want to play. Even if you're short and fat and slow, you should still be forced to play. Because it's going to build something in you, and you might build relationships with the other kids that are critical to your life and your business pursuits. And my father wasn't around to do that. And I could have been a professional athlete, and I know that for a fact because all the guys I was playing with outperforming, they had fathers there. That's why they were performing so well. I was just performing well out of like raw talent and skill that I learned from the coaches, but I didn't even want to push me. I got MVP on 4 teams with kids that played quarterback for UCLA and one kid who's pro right now that I beat out in high school for a wide receiver position. You see what I'm saying? So I could have gone, but I had a single mother who was incompetent and selfish. And that's no disrespect to her. She's just a woman. She's just a lonely mother. You heard me? She had her own shit going on. And that's what we're essentially talking about fathers and knowing that some things need force. And that's the thing about a boy. As a girl, they might be like, you don't want to do it? Oh, it's okay. As a boy, like, you don't want to do it? Well, fuck it. You screaming and kicking. I'm going to still make you do it. It's called pressure. I'm putting pressure on you. The world's going to put pressure on you. So I'm putting pressure on you, and it's okay. It's all right. It makes you strong, tough, which is what you need because the world's going to be fucked up for you. Okay? It's going to be tough. Hierarchy. You don't play video games. You don't really get a strong sense of hierarchy, you know, team captain, coach, all this stuff. But here's the important piece. You don't get socialization. Socialization means like teaching you how to properly interact with other people. Not to be what you might call a weirdo, not in the sense of homosexual, but just a weirdo. And there's a lot of people who are weird, but they don't even realize like they're weird, like they're awkward. They don't know how to engage people properly because they've been doing it through a technical medium. And what happens is they don't get consequences, so they tend to like speak without thinking. They tend to make people uncomfortable because they haven't experienced real world consequences. For example, I never played video games, but I've heard a lot from gamers that people be on there. It's just funny to me. This is a sick thing. If I was a gamer, I'd probably be saying some of the things I'm about to say just for fun. But people are like, I smell niggers in here. I heard them be saying hella racist shit on video games. They do, right? They do. Okay, I'm not making this because I never played. But here's the sick thing. If I was playing video games, I would be on there like, is there a nigger in here? I wouldn't know that. Because they don't know, right? They don't know. No, seriously, they wouldn't even know that I'm black, right? Like, I can just pretend, you know? I would just be doing it for fun. But the point is, I do it because there's no consequences. Like, no one knows I'm black. They don't know my name is Marquette. They don't know where I live. They don't know I'm an actual adult. I can behave like a kid. There's no consequences. That's a fucked up environment to be socialized in. That's a terrible environment to be socialized in, as a male in particular. And then you never experience pressure. And the reason you don't experience pressure is because when you're playing Pee Wee football or Pop Warner football, and you practice and practice and practice, and the coach drill you, and the coaches put pressure on you, you gotta do it this way, hold the ball this way. If you take a hit, tuck it in like this. And they put pressure and pressure on you, and you practice, and you try hard, and you want to win, and it's serious. And you have a game, and you win the game, you have another game, you keep winning, keep winning, keep winning. You get to the playoffs, and then you're in there, and you fucking lose. And that feels terrible. And it's like everything you did is like, damn, we did all this shit, we lost. And there's no do-over. You lost. You have to wait for the whole next season. You gotta wait for a summer, retrain, and start everything from scratch. Which means that you experience pressure. You didn't get to just like, oh, let me restart the game. Restart the game. I have an infinite number of lives. They just killed me in Zelda. I mean, that's an old-ass game. Is that shit still around?
Yeah.
It's still around. They just killed me in Zelda. I'm gonna restart the game. I'm back alive. So you don't understand pressure, so you're never going to be a high performer in your life. Because you don't understand pressure, you can't handle pressure, you haven't experienced it. And what's worse than pressure is you don't know anything about disappointment. You don't have character development. You can't handle disappointment. Because you don't know what it is, you just keep restarting the fucking game. When you work all that time and you go to the playoffs and fucking lose, which by the way never happened in my football team, the championship football team, motherfuckers won since ever. That's why I'm still mad at my mom today, like, God damn it, it's a winning team! Anyways, you don't get the character development because you get all these do-overs and you never experience disappointment. What boys learn in organized sports is that you experience disappointment and you just train again and you play the next season. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And that's why, oh, by the way, with people, yes?
I was just gonna add, like, with the scenario with gamers and basketball players, I think the odds of gamers turning at their phone and recording you getting your ass beat is like way higher as well. And I think it's like attack and defense. So I think they'll turn on anyone on a moment's notice for an ounce of fame, just like someone else.
No loyalty.
Yeah, no loyalty.
Yeah, I was becoming a professional gamer and professional athlete is about the same.
About the same,
Yeah,
right?
so you're better off just going for the glory with the real life.
And any game is fun. There's nothing wrong with becoming a professional gamer if you get paid at it.
Yeah.
There's actually nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying gaming is bad. I'm saying that being in the video game generation is bad. I'm saying if this is what's raising you and this is where you experience most of your significant relationships, and you're spending a significant amount of time here, you're destroying yourself and you're destroying your chances for the future.
The disconnect from reality.
Yeah, precisely. Oh, and the disconnect from reality, the lack of self-awareness, and a lot of the other things we mentioned. So this is actually turning you into a female.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys put that shit together just now. Somebody said robot. I ain't pointing fingers. Somebody said robot, but essentially yes. But really, it's turning you into a female. Minus this loyalty part, because females loyal as hell.
Yeah.
They be in them pairs. They loyal as hell. But they don't know a damn thing about teams. They don't know a damn thing about hierarchy and don't want to. They want to be equal, especially if they're the weaker one in the bunch, right? The fat girl want to be equal to the good-looking girl. They're fine in terms of being socialized. They're just not socialized into what we're socialized in. And consequences, they don't know a damn thing about consequences. They've never been sat on the bench. They think everybody should get to play. Whereas little boys, man, we used to pick teams. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Being picked last for the team, or just not being picked for the team. And you gotta get next. You heard me? We all gonna play right now, but sit your ass on the side, you get next. Yeah, it turns you into a female. Now, what we need to ask ourselves is, how are societies reformed? The society today isn't the way it was in yester decades. So it's clearly reformed. Societies are reformed, shaped by large, organized, action-oriented persons who are willing to engage in conflict and must win in the conflict. Who's uniquely positioned to do this, to shape society? Men. You're the assassin, that's right. Men. Boys are raised up, playing large, organized, in large teams. They take action. They engage in conflict. All of our games are adversarial, and they're obsessed with winning when they're natural. So let me ask you guys a question. Somebody tell me some movements that men, like real movements men have going on. Movements is not just one person. Somebody say, Andrew Tate. Yeah, but what's the movement? Andrew Tate's one guy. He's in jail right now. He's fucking in prison. What's a movement that men have going right now?
Oh man, games.
What's that?
Games.
Gangs?
Al-Qaeda.
Good one, actually. Assassin. You're right. You're right. Al-Qaeda is probably the closest thing we can think of. I mean, goddamn, you want to think of any in America?
I got you. The U.S. military.
Military is being very watered down right now, so it's quite unfortunate. I don't feel entirely safe, but movements are generally against the establishment. So the U.S. military would be considered part of the establishment of the government. So the movement is what's trying to essentially destabilize or change the society or the establishment or the government.
You talking about red pill and all that stuff, I guess?
No, I'm just asking you guys. I just wanted to see you guys be stumped. I just want to see you guys be stumped because these are the unique talents that boys are conditioned into, that represents boy nature, and then man culture makes us oriented toward this stuff. We're all about teams. We're males. We're action-oriented. We're aggressive by nature. We're all about conflict. All of our games are adversarial. Football. Knock this motherfucker's helmet off and let's cheer when we do it. Boxing. Punch his fucking teeth out, and when he get up doing the stanky leg and fall over, let's cheer. Women don't have sports like that. They're not conflict-oriented. And when they play sports, they're playing men's sports. Shit we do. It's not even really what they do. For example, women's basketball. They just said, we want equity. We want to get paid what the men pay. The men take a percentage of the NBA's earnings, right? The WNBA is losing $12 million, which means every WNBA player actually owes like $88,000 in negative income. They should be paying $88,000 a year just to play because they league don't earn no fucking money. They're playing a man's game and they ain't doing a good job. So the point is, these are the unique skills of men. But you guys can't tell me one fucking movement men have in America. Even though we're suited to do it.
What would you say about like the fruit of Islam or Nation of Islam? Like, do you think that would kind of reflect the?
I think it would, except that they're not getting mainstream traction anymore. And no disrespect to the brother, I'm gonna speak my personal opinion, and I know some folks might not have any background on this, but I'll be brief because I'm sure the brother would be much better at answering these questions. But the Nation of Islam used to have a tremendous amount of popularity, be very well known, and they still do a lot of good works in the community. But there's been a steady decline kind of from like the death of Malcolm X, and there's been a steady decline much faster in recent years, so that the mainstream almost never talks about the Nation of Islam. An average young black person today might not even know what the Nation of Islam is, right? And so that's because their marketing is not very good. I think part of it is because their leader is old and not innovative, right? Not to say he's not a great man, he's a very great man, but they've not kept up with the times in terms of the marketing of the message. And also, I think that there have been some fundamental errors of diverging from their original teachings. And they haven't been good at business. I was talking about being a businessman, right? Their finances have been mismanaged, and I know this because they've been using the real estate of the, what's it called? The Church of Scientology. Yes, they've been using their real estate, which means they don't have their own real estate. And their finances are out of order. That's why I always talk to you guys. Businessman. The money has meaning. So But yes, that would be one of the good things. Here's the actual movements, by the way. Go ahead. yeah, we're gonna get into it.
What about fraternities?
Well, fraternities movements have generally greater philanthropic goals, and they generally spread endlessly until they rearrange the social order. They spread endlessly until they're either crushed or they rearrange the social order. For example, they spread endlessly until they rearrange the social order. Disney used to be about what? Does anyone know what Disney used to like? What they used to try to do?
Like Imagineers, cartoons, racism.
Yeah, well, we know they make cartoons, but like, what are they trying to convey? What is the cartoon
Trying to send
about?
messages and stuff like that.
Racism, like wonder and imagination.
Yeah, we've heard there's some racism, but I mean, if you're saying you're the Disney creator and you're white, it's not racism, right? It's what you want forward, right? So it would be racism if you're, say, black, but if you're white, it's not racism. It's just what you want forward. And you know, if I was, it's fine to be a supremacist of whatever you are. So I'm not hating them on that, but yeah, for example, say you have Snow White. You're forwarding purity in the female, chastity, virginity, and say you have Beauty and the Beast. You're forwarding masculinity in the male, the hero image, the conqueror. You're forwarding very traditional roles. The male is the hero. What about Cinderella? Very traditional roles. Beautiful women, princesses, knight in shining armor, saving the woman, values, purity. Disney was teaching the kids this. Movements, they spread until they rearrange the social order. Now, what does Disney teach you?
Everything's equality.
They have cartoons where you have Mulan, female, who now has a girlfriend. What? This is what you have homosexual Disney characters. You have homosexual cartoons in Disney now. Not by chance. By design. By movement, by effort and conflict and work. That's why this is not a conference. I didn't invite a whole bunch of people. I didn't tell people what we're talking about. Because this is the beginning of us expanding until we can fill up a fucking street. Because we gotta crush this shit, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you don't crush it, it's gonna crush you. Right. This shit is directly against you. I promise you it is. I know this because when I was in high school, we like battle rap, right? And you say something disrespectful to somebody, and the way you end the rap, you say, nah, 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 nah. Well, actually, let me say some Cassidy, since we was talking about Cassidy earlier. When the chrome to your dome, Aki, your bodyguard's gonna be trying to guard their own body. Faggot! And then just walk off. No, and I hate to say that to you like that, but that's how they used to rap. Like, they would just call you a faggot and walk off like it was okay. This shit was not that long ago. I'm still fairly young. Or they would say some shit like, nah, 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 nah. Like, yeah, man, I'll get in your ass. No homo. Say that. No homo. Just straight out what it is. No homo. Because that's despicable. And it's so despicable that everyone knows it, and I can say no homo, nobody's offended. No one argues with it. Now what do they say?
They just say it cancels.
Oh,
they say no homo part.
They say pause.
Oh, yeah.
But it's because we scared to say no homo. They say pause. Kind of more.
Like even the saying the word faggot, they
Oh no, don't say that shit. I'd rather say nigger than faggot. I'd rather be a white dude saying nigger than faggot. You don't get ticked the fuck out. Yeah.
So my question to you is in regards to the battle rap thing, do you think it's because, and why maybe hip hop still has that certain sense of masculinity to it, because it kind of comes from like a street or like a prison culture?
Look at this right here. This right here. Hip hop has been the most hyper masculine form of art expression. Hyper masculine. Largely coming out of the experience of the African American male being disempowered, mostly financially, and having not that power, not the power of your own family, because they're being supported by a Section 8 government. Not the power of your own family, because Section 8 government, for that woman to get paid, she has to be a single mom, so you gotta get moved out of the house. So you're not in control of your own family. You have very little power. The police fuck with you, everybody fucks with you, and you're poor. So the only thing you go flex on is indiscriminate violence and tough talk. And so we express this in our art form, our hip hop music, hyper masculine. Nigga, I kill your whole family, nigga. In the rap song.
Of course.
Some of them will really do it though, because they're ignorant, they really do it. And some don't. Hyper masculine. When Notorious B.I.G. had an album, there was a skit, Who's the Gay Rapper? There's a skit about the gay rapper. It was like a joke, like who's the gay rapper? And they were all saying that there is one, and everybody was like, well, who is it? Is that a real thing? It was like a joke. Because they thought it would never be a thing, because hip hop's so masculine. Now, Lil Nas X.
I can't believe Nas even goes out.
Lil Nas X. And here's the thing. They put this on your music form, because hip hop music, when I was a little kid, we wanted to be like Jay-Z. We want to be like, I'm a hustler, nigga, I'm so dope, nigga. I'm balling. We want to be like Jay-Z. When Jay-Z used to like wear like, you know, the New York Yankee fitted, nigga, I'm in LA, never been to New York. I got the Yankee fitted, I'm wearing Tim's, it's hotter than a bitch. I'm still wearing them though. And then he put on a dress shirt and he did this song called Change Clothes, like, change clothes. And then motherfuckers were wearing a dress shirt. And I went to the store, because I had paper. I was your boy was a real hustler. He had to show out in them streets. So I went to the Express and got me the stripe joint, showed up the next day in like a little beanie with the motherfucking stripe. Because Jigga did it. And if Jigga did that shit, then that shit cool. And so they take all of our heroes and they put this flag on them.
He's an ally now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he used to have a song that said, don't make me spray the Cindy in here. Why are the niggas over here? Go talk to a girl. I'm straight like Indian hair. Yeah, a lot of raps like that. Faggot this, gay guy, get away from me that. All the rappers talk like that. Because that's our actual culture. Our real culture. Not our fake culture that we were forced into.
Right.
Through money and movement and pressure that we cracked under. He's the ally, man. I bet he fucking is now.
They gave him an award.
Oh shit. It's too late for us! But movements. So movements gobble up until they rearrange the social order. The social order, hip hop music is no longer hyper masculine. They are now gay rappers there. Disney is no longer wholesome. That's what Disney was about, being wholesome. It's no longer wholesome. They talk about sex, they have homosexual characters. They are winning really well. Which is ironic because people who practice homosexual, according to the Gallup organization, which does official polling, this is what they do, they're good at it. They say 1.3% of human population practices homosexuality. Everybody else is just an ally. 1.3% practice, everyone else is an ally. But the thing is, due to their ability to be effective in the media, Gallup took a poll on what percentage do you think of the human population is gay? Do you think? People said 23%. What? Which is to say, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, one of you is gay. They said they think 1 in 4 persons is gay. That's because it's promoted so effectively through Netflix, through cartoons, through all of your streaming services. So it seems prevalent when it's actually not. Right? So they're winning, they're very effective. And then you have hashtag #MeToo. They've affected the social order, which is now, it's actually affected politics and government in as much as you don't need evidence to go to jail anymore, which is ironic because science is as advanced as it's ever been with forensic. If there is evidence, forensics can find it, but will still convict you based on a 30-year-old claim that has not one shred of evidence, and will put you in prison for it, which is us enacting bodily autonomy. Did that to Bill Cosby, had to let him out. He had too much fucking money, he figured it out, how to get out of it. But the point is, you lining up an 80-year-old senior citizen who's blind for something that happened 30 years ago and there's not one shred of evidence? That's hashtag #MeToo. They won. They're winning. Very effectively, yes.
Well, my part, you said that, you know, they have so many allies, right? But would the allies think that would the homosexuals defend your heterosexuality? No, they wouldn't. They don't care about that. So, you know, that's.
And they use the term ally, but they're not a real ally. And that's why in my book, The Black Box, I write, allies change during times of war, which is to say when you need them, that's when you find out they're an ally, right? But it also makes you wonder, well, why is it that all these people are allies for no reason? Like, do males form teams when you can't win on that team? That's not a masculine thing to do. So why? That's something we should understand. These are the suffragettes. These are the ones who got women's voting, not women, white women's voting, to be exact, to be accurate. And I want to make a meaningful note here, because I saw in the comments one of the saints had said, or not one of the saints, just someone in the YouTube public had said, oh, what does marching and protesting do? That doesn't do anything. And I was like, damn, you're dumb as hell. No, really, you're dumb as hell. Because isn't this all marching and protesting? This shit done done a lot. And marching and protesting lets the power holders know who they can mess with and who they can't mess with. Andrew Tate, for example, is in prison in Romania. You ain't seen no riots or protests in Romania? So that makes the power holders say, we got him out alone. He doesn't have a team. Remember I said if that team was across the street, they saw someone accosting you, they're gonna run over and get with the shits. But if you don't have a team, if you're a lone wolf, and they catch you without a team, they will abuse you. Yes?
So my question to you is, so I think with men, I think that maybe like, I won't speak for all of them, but I'd say like for me sometimes, it's like just we have a natural inclination to not complain.
No, we don't have a natural inclination to not complain. That's not true. I wish that were true, because some of us need to shut the fuck up. But we don't have a natural inclination not to complain.
Well, okay, that's
Let me see if I have a slide for that real quick. No, I don't. That's on tomorrow. No, we don't have a natural inclination.
I guess for, yeah, so I guess not. I was just saying that maybe like men don't want to complain, so they maybe like they, for example, with I believe with women's suffrage, wasn't it men that advocated for women's right to vote? Like the women didn't even want to do it, right? Did the women want the right to vote? I can't even remember if they
Well,
did.
here's the picture of the protest. You see any dudes out there?
I think that's the one that's back.
What way back?
Way in the back.
I see some dudes. There's a dude.
You
right
never
there.
know.
And there's
That's
a-
like just beat it. More clip. There was actually a council, like when all this happened, there was a council in London, and they made an article saying 10 reasons why women shouldn't vote and why it's dangerous to society. And there's all men, like a league of men that made this thing happen. And they said, oh, like if you don't stop this, it's gonna be too late, it's gonna get worse. What happened? It happened, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And here's the important thing. That's not a man. That's a boy. That's a boy. This individual's probably like 13 years old. Yeah, tops. No, that's for sure a boy. You see, tell by the fat on his face. Boy. Probably one of their sons. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a single, a lonely mother.
So question.
Yeah.
You have all these movements going on.
Right. This one is already won. Women already have the right to vote.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to show like how all this shit evolves. And I hate to be vulgar, but this is really shit. I mean, this is shit in as much as this is a Black Lives Matter protest, right? It's supposed to be about Black lives. Particularly, how did this movement start? What was it about? Does anyone remember?
Police brutality.
Police brutality. Yeah. Black males, generally heterosexuals, right? Normal black dudes, chilling with them like you and I, right?
Right.
Getting shot down and killed by police.
Yeah.
The fuck does that have to do with this? No, really. What the fuck does that have to do with being gay?
They call it Trayvon Martin gay.
They're the same, they're the same people.
It's the same organization, and what they did is they hijacked it.
Yes.
They stole
Infiltration.
They infiltrated
We
it.
just talked about it yesterday.
And with Black Lives Matter, I heard it's like a hidden agenda behind it to make it so basically like equal opportunity for them to mess with kids and stuff like that.
You know, if you do some research, I remember I read their mission statement, 2020, I think it was December. I seen their mission statement. It was to basically take the men out of the households and to make it that the mother and grandmother.
But they good. They're good. Can you turn the thermostat up 1 degree warmer, please? Yes.
They did that with Occupy Wall Street as well. Wasn't it like the first incident of them doing that because everyone got together in New York and they were just kind of like protesting about like the unfairness and the economic thing with the bank bailouts and everything, and then I guess the CIA or something, they got infiltrated and then they disrupted it.
Listen, you always have people who are either A, scammers, or B, really clever. And you gotta watch out for them if you're not one of them. So for example, you got these people who got all these folks together, right? And this is queer Latinos. I mean, we went way off. We went from Black Lives Matter to now we talking about Latinos. We went from men getting shot by the police. Now we talking about queer. Like this should say South Asian. What? Here's the point. Say you got a bunch of people out protesting in Romania, right? They're protesting saying, "Kill Andrew Tate. Kill this motherfucker," right? And then we all show up, right? And then we mix in the crowd and we're all holding signs that say, "Save Andrew Tate," right? And then we have Big Boy get in front and take a picture real quick. And there's like thousands of people out there saying, "Kill Andrew Tate." But you take a picture of us mixed in holding signs that say, "Free Andrew Tate." Optically, it looks like there's a bunch of people there to support Andrew Tate. You can design a lot of things. These people are great designers and hijackers. And they don't have any opposition right now because one, we're so cowardly as males, we lie and say things like, "Oh, protests don't work." They do work. You might be scared to go out there, but they do work. "Oh, we can't do anything." Damn, you can't even vote, my boy. We do nothing. And that's why we suffer these things. So I just wanted to point this out to let you know that our natural advantages, somehow we're not using them, which would suggest that we're extremely feminized. They're outside in large group, organized. That's what we do. But these are women and homosexuals.
Marcos, so over the past few years, coming to conferences, meeting up at the Saints in the Bay, even when I'm just with one Saint, one of the Saints, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I feel we can do anything that we want. We're able to infiltrate, control anything that we want. So it's just realizing that all of us are fully capable of doing this. That's what they had. That's what they had in mind. They were thinking, "Oh, we can just go to the Black Lives Matter march and hold a queer Latino sign for whatever reason. They could go to Me Too, Survivors March, and hold a free Eric Lyle sign. No one knows what that is. So it's possible to just take a few people and infiltrate a smaller group.
I mean, like, it says unite to fight patriarchy. Patriarchy means male leadership. That's what the definition of patriarchy is, male leadership. What does that have to do with rape? They're completely unrelated. So they have all these things wrapped in when their actual goal is to destroy male leadership, but underneath that is to destroy male heterosexuality.
Cause confusion.
Yes.
Alright, so, this might just be just a thought.
Remind me to come back to infiltration.
Just a thought, alright? Because I know we are recording this. Just a thought. In my head, I'm thinking, well, how do women try to get power? It's psychological, it's through their mouths, complaining, you know. And I just, in my head, I'm like, okay, if men had a movement, how would it look? I think it would look violent. I don't know, just in my head. Like if men, because like it would be people getting smacked, shut up. It'd be war. It's not gonna be peaceful Martin Luther King stuff. It's gonna be like, no, we're reverting this back. We're gonna burn everything down, or you're gonna listen to us. I think it's like that.
You bring up a very meaningful point in as much as, number one, this is called latent power. It's power, but it's latent in as much as it's not being exercised. Anytime you have this many people gathered together, you have tremendous potential for violence. Riots, violence. This is scary. That's why I know those men are scared when they say, "Oh, marching doesn't, protesting doesn't do anything." Yeah, it's letting the power holders know that we're organized and we could tear this shit up if we want to. So it's like a warning. Say we took 500 Saints down and walked right into the Bellagio Valet. 500 Saints. We don't have to say a word. All of a sudden, authorities would be alerted. Because 500 people together who look like they're connected in some way, i.e. organized, that's very dangerous. We can be completely peaceful, but they're going to call them boys because they're going to be scared.
They brought them out.
Here's the challenge, though. You got 500 Saints. It's going to take a lot of police. No, really. And it's going to take some time to organize.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm
From
saying?
different counties and everything.
Yeah.
We have the advantage.
And that's a bit of power that I want you guys to understand, which is the police are just organized men. That's all they are.
And women.
And women, right, organized men and women, yeah. So if we had 500 people together and say like they called the police and the first 2 cop cars showed up and they went to arrest Marcos, they'd have to get our permission.
Yeah.
They'd actually have to get our permission. They could shoot all their bullets out and still get killed. You see what I'm saying? They'd have to get permission. They have to speak really respectfully. Now I wanted to address infiltrators. Someone mentioned infiltration over here. Okay. We're setting up this security piece. And it's very critical that we pay attention to infiltration. A lot of you guys have been to conferences before. You know, we have them lined all the way to the back. We always sell out our conference. We put as many people as we can possibly fit in this space. So when we do it here, we do about 50, and when we did it at the big spot, we do about 300. And we always sell out. And so I intentionally did not tell anybody what this is about. That's why some of you motherfuckers are in running clothes. You guys have no clue. Now you ask me, why pat us down? Why didn't you go through the bag? If you pat us down, you didn't go through the bag. But we did take some intelligence, right? So, what's your name?
Brandon.
Do you think I didn't know your name?
Yes.
Do you think I didn't know your name before you came?
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone else think I didn't know his name before he came?
You don't think it's about you know his name.
I actually know everyone in here by face and name, except you coming in. And so we actually had a full discussion about you before you came in. We have a full list of everybody who's come to conferences, what products they've bought, first and last name, mailing address, where they're flying in from, how they're connected, who introduced them. See what I'm saying? So we make sure we take the intelligence because this is when we would be infiltrated. And the profile of someone who would infiltrate us would probably, you know, if I were, say, FBI, which would be FBI, not CIA trying to infiltrate us, the FBI since it's domestic. If I were infiltrating me, I would try to send someone who's most likely to not be suspected. So you're infiltrating an African-American black guy, send in a black guy, right? You're infiltrating me, send in somebody young, so who's not so suspicious of him, or at least someone who looks young, right? So there's different things, but no, we had a whole conversation about you. Who is he? Where's he come from? Where's he live? What's his last name? What products has he bought? How did he end up coming? Because if you've been to one of the events before, raise your hand. Look around. Look around. So overwhelmingly, everybody here has either been to an event where they had a one-on-one conference with me before. So we limited intentionally, so I already had a sense that everybody's who's here, and then who's not here, we look close into, right? You didn't get a sense that I felt suspicious about you, right?
No.
Exactly, you shouldn't. That's the art of war, right? All right. Anyone else have any comments, questions? Yes?
I wanted to say something about organizing and being in a group.
Yes.
I've been to like an NFL football game,
Yes.
and I see all these people, they're wearing like their own, like their team's jersey.
It's crazy,
And
right?
they're all organized, hundreds of, like tens of thousands. And they're all in the same place, but the powers aren't really threatened by them, it seems.
Yes.
So it shows that, you know, the intention behind why you meet up and, you know, how you're organized, it kind of signals something different.
Yes.
You know, if you're just kind of engaging in foolishness and just want to laugh, you know, people aren't really threatened by that. But if like 500 saints on the spot, you know, and there's that intensity and weight, it signals something very different.
Absolutely. You're right. I mean, soccer hooligans, all these people is organized stupidity. It really is. It's organized. But we're at a VIP Super Bowl thing. We kind of do this every year. And I just said this year, I was like, don't let me go to that ever again. I only went because my partner had showed up in town. He was like, hey, I'm in town. We gotta watch the Super Bowl. I was like, bro, let me set you up. I was like, you got tickets somewhere? He was like, yeah, we paid this much. I was like, cancel that shit. I'll get you something better. I just went out because my partner and his people were out here. But as I was there, I'm watching the game, like, and I play football. I love the sport. I was like, the fuck is this? I don't give a shit. I don't care anything about this game. I don't have money on it. I don't have any intention to put money on it. I don't care who's winning. I didn't even know who was playing the Super Bowl till I showed up. You see what I'm saying? It's a waste of time once you get a greater focus in life. No disrespect to sports. Sports are everything. Somebody have a comment question back here? Yes.
So, I don't know if you'll touch on this later, but in regards to like all those people meeting up, I think during the 2020 COVID, like there was a bunch of riots. There was a bunch of riots, a bunch of looting, a bunch of murders, a bunch of things that happened all over the country.
That was in Chicago.
But you know, this was all documented. You had companies like Sony saying that if cities get destroyed, they can always get rebuilt. And now we're in 2023, and no one spoke about this. Everyone said the riots were peaceful and everything. So would you say media and these people, wicked people owning the media would be a part of it because they did all this destruction and said no?
Most of these movements have resulted directly from the media. If 1.3% of humankind is practicing homosexuality, but the allies are so much greater in number, that's because they're marketed to, right? They've been taught in the public schools, or they've been taught on Netflix or your gaming console. When I was watching the NFL, I remember just tripping out, like at the end of the end zone, it said, "End racism." I'm not pro-racism, but I was like, this is weird as hell, man. They this shit up, end racism? Yeah. Like if I'm a hillbilly in Kentucky watching this, like, boy, these niggas can run fast. I don't like them, but they can run fast. You know, if I'm a racist in Kentucky and I see it says "end racism" on the touchdown line, you know what? After reading that, I think I'm gonna give these darkies a chance. Like, what kind of shit? I mean, this is dumb as hell. But that's the lengths they go to, and that's the sick psychology. They're so, you know, clamped down on their ideology that they become foolish, and it becomes comical at a certain level. But no, this is all creations of television and media. But yeah, like you bring up a really important part. You'll get a sense of this as we go deeper into the security side of things. But we always make sure that we have intelligence on people and what we're doing. And you know, I have my captain back there go through the list with Bridget, and we went through all of the data. And you know, these are the things you got to do.
Wait, so you did or you did not know my name?
I didn't get it. I know everyone's name.
How?
Yeah.
I don't have a picture on my email.
Yeah.
You have a picture on your Patreon though.
Got him. Hey, don't reveal the art of war. The art of war is mysterious. The art of war is mysterious. I was gonna let him think he was getting off. Here's the thing. If you're playing a wise man in chess, you're cautious when you make your moves. If you're playing a fool in chess, you make your moves haphazardly. You feel me? You don't have to let them know what you know. Can someone tell me why women might support this even if they're not wicked or mentally ill? Yes.
Something about women, they have something called like a hive mentality. So like one woman might say something, and even though they don't feel it, they might all come together because of the empathy they feel for that one woman. You know what I'm saying?
That's reasonable.
The lonely.
You guys not saying the names anymore.
Oh, Justice.
Giovanni, by the way.
Yeah.
Justice or Lonely want to hang out together.
Okay.
Daniel, because they want everyone to feel accepted. That's basically what these guys are saying.
Marcos, I was gonna say empathy. Oh yeah. Peer pressure. I think they bubble easily under.
Under pressure in general.
Yeah.
Peer pressure. Yeah. Equality is the thing. Equality. Remember we were talking about women are all about equality. That's what these movements claim they're about. So women are naturally going to sign on to this. Now, the fact is, large, organized, action-oriented, willing to engage in conflict and focus on women, that's actually what men do. And the problem is that we've started late. There's been a war on boys for a long time. Your point about, you mentioned violence, what we have to understand is that it only has to become violent when you reach a point of no possible compromise, which is at a level where we've come to, which is to say, we've seen a lot of podcasts, we've been on podcasts with girls, and you couldn't tell them anything.
No.
You couldn't tell them anything. So that means you're just gonna have to do what you're gonna do and rearrange the society by, as Malcolm X would say,
by
any means necessary. Because you cannot persuade them, you cannot convince them. So you either have to exercise force, you have to outvote them, show up to the polls in greater numbers, or you have to just go Vladimir Putin, which is, hey guys, I want Ukraine. Oh, I can't have it? Cool, I'll take it. Because he knew that he couldn't negotiate for it, he couldn't get a compromise, so he just took it. And that's what he's doing right now. Yes.
Cleo Hudson. I think it's important when you mention that because I think, like, look at the prior elections, statistically, more women voted for Trump than Hillary Clinton. And when you look at it, they were in rural parts of America, who were working class, and they were married. So they weren't really voting for Trump because they believed in Trump and his message. They were voting because their husbands were voting, and he didn't believe in Hillary Clinton with the nation was ready for a woman president. But then when you look at Biden being elected, you see overwhelmingly the black population came. So instead of like trying to influence women to vote against their immediate influence per se, they for mass culture and painting Trump a racist and whatnot. So I think that's very important.
Very effectively. Very effectively. My own mother told me he was a racist. I was gonna ask her why, but I ain't had that kind of time, right? Because I know she didn't know, so she's just gonna keep talking, because she didn't have an answer. But here's the thing, we're engaged in warfare right now. Warfare is psychological, physical, and digital. We've already taken some exercises. We took a digital exercise in warfare. I would say that it essentially failed, but it gave us the most important thing, which is practice. Anyone remember one of our exercises in digital warfare? Might talk to me, tell me.
I remember the spot you went to in South Africa, and they were supposedly racist in there, and you informed us, and then we all kind of spammed the Google
Recording
reviews.
stop. Oh, thank you. I'll fix this. Keep going.
Yeah, we spammed the Google reviews, basically saying that people shouldn't use their services. And then a day later, I guess Google revoked many of our comments, so it ended up not being as successful as we anticipated.
Precisely. And why was it important to get the practice?
To figure out how things work.
Exactly, to figure out how things work. Because the worst thing you can do in war is to not have an army until the war starts.
Right.
But you have to actually have the fucking army and the strategy and the practice before the war starts. So if we had a worthy enemy and we didn't know how to do that accurately, we'd be screwed. But if we get enough practice, by the time we find a worthy enemy, then we know, okay, Saints, we're organized, we're an organized team. We can actually say, okay, drop in 5 negative reviews every other day. Now we know how to do it. We figured out how Google does this. If you drop a review without making a comment, they're going to remove it. So drop a review and a comment. Or we figured out that Google, if they detect that your account has only made 1 review, none in the past, then they're going to revoke it. So now we're saying, go, hey, make 2 positive reviews on something else, and then come hit these guys with the 1-star review. It's practice on digital warfare. And here's the efficacy of digital warfare. What people don't realize is that if we would have put that restaurant down to 1 star, you know what would have happened to them?
What is it?
They're gonna lose a lot of money. I know this one Jewish girl in Beverly Hills, very annoying, super big though. Super big. But every time, and this is, I kid you not, this is why her ex-boyfriend dumped her, and I don't blame him one bit. They had got into an argument, and they were like, basically like, he was moving his stuff out of her apartment, right? He's a wealthy Jewish guy, she's a wealthy Jewish girl. He happened to have moved into her place, he's gonna move his stuff out, right? And then they were making up, right? They were making up, she told me a story, they had made up, and they were like, all right, let's go get something to eat. So they get in the car to go get something to eat, and as they're heading out to get something to eat, she said, well, where do you want to eat? He says, wherever you want to eat. She's like, no, well, where do you want to eat? And he's like, let's just go to wherever's closest. He's like, just hit La Brea, and then we'll go down La Brea, major street in LA, and we'll go down La Brea, and we'll just eat at the whatever place. So they're driving down, and he sees the place, he's like, hey, pull over here. And then she pulls over, and he's about to get out of the car. She says, hold on, let me check their Yelp reviews real quick. And he's like, what? She's like, let me just check their Yelp reviews. Let me don't want to just walk in. Let me see how they're rated on Yelp before we just go in there. And he's like, it's over. Fuck you. Just I'll call an Uber. Like, bitch, I asked you where you want to eat. Then you asked me where I want to eat. I said here. Now you want to check the Yelp reviews. I say that to say this. A lot of people, especially women, they use Yelp or Google reviews to decide to eat at a restaurant. Mostly when you're dealing with dine-in restaurants, people are checking the reviews. It's not like a fast food restaurant where you just go. You check the reviews before you spend significant money. So in this case, we would have slowed up their money machine dramatically and probably eventually ended the business or caused them to rebrand, change the website, change the name of the business. So there's a lot of potential power there. All right. Oh, let me start this thing again real quick and then we're off to the races. And we are actually just about to end. And should we give you guys a break before we go into security? Yeah. You guys use a break? Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let me just record this last piece. And thank you for that one. So there's various types of warfare. I hope it's recording the correct side. We shall see in due time. Psychological, physical, and digital. We just talked about the digital warfare piece. We've already practiced that. We're getting good at it. We're actually going to go through a whole presentation on precisely how to do this stuff, how to execute it. And then the psychological piece, you have to actually understand that both of these pieces are psychological. When we're seeing that guy was seeing his reviews for his restaurant go down like that, did any of you guys see his reply that he had made to my initial review? He had actually went on and made a reply. He's like, I'm the owner, and I just want to say we don't tolerate any kind of racism, blah, 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 blah. Like, this was affecting him. So, any of these forms of warfare are going to be psychological. So you can attack the psyche directly or attack the psyche indirectly. This one was an indirect attack. And then here's the physical side of things. What we're talking about today is establishing the physical apparatus actually being on the ground in terms of how to conduct warfare, which doesn't necessarily mean attack, but presence itself and the looming threat can get people to move and make decisions and respond. And we already know that the war started a long time ago because that book was written in 2000, which means that this person observed this occurring, this war against boys, well before that. That being the case, that being the case, we need an organized apparatus. This is essentially the Assassin's org chart, and this will of course grow and become more meaningful. And some of these things will move around. I'll let you know what we have now. So this is Saint City up here, right? And essentially all of the regions have an executive. So Saint City, myself, and the chief operations officer, and the captain, which is essentially our head of security. It's got to be a check on you. Our head of security, and he's two guys under him who are also on the security side of things. Each section has this executive, a COO, a captain, an executive, a captain, a lieutenant, and a squad leader. So for example, Isaiah is the executive in Europe. Should we have one person over such a vast territory? Generally not. These are the things that are going to be reformed. But these are often the people who we're organizationally familiar with. They've already done a lot of work, taking a lot of initiative. Like for example, they're having Saints Day in London. So the European Saints, we actually have a really deep in Sweden for some strange reason. A lot of Swedish Saints, but they're all flying over to London and they're going to do an event there. Organize that, so he's the executive in Europe. The executive in Canada is Ramsey. He's running things, the older guy, business guy, established, married, good gentleman. So he's running things in Canada. Florida still hasn't been identified. Justin is running things in New York. These are just getting rolled out, so this will be rolled out. NorCal is Marcos. Marcos has the Saint designation. He's the only person who's been conferred, which is why he has a comfortable seat. I hope all your seats are comfortable. But he's the only person who's been conferred. The important thing we want to understand is that if we don't respect ourselves, no one will. If we don't esteem our hierarchy, no one on the outside will esteem our hierarchy. And so we always make sure that we have hierarchy, we practice it, we show esteem for the respected people within this thing of ours. This is the existing hierarchy that we're going to be rolling out. We're going to fill these empty roles. The executives will interface with the chief operations officer to identify their captain, lieutenant, and their squad leaders. Anyone have questions, comments so far?
You had something you wanted to do right now.
I didn't even forget that.
Okay.
You good though. I didn't even forget that, but go ahead. Anyone have any questions, comments? Fantastic. Marcos was actually conferred at the last conference, before last, the third conference. Yes, he was actually conferred at the third conference. And we didn't have these here to bless you with right here. So we're going to bless you with this one. When you see this right here, this means that someone has been officially conferred, which is to say this is someone that we know and we trust. Right? This person is basically like, they've been signed off on. You don't have to worry about them. They're an esteemed person. They're an honorable person. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this off. I'm also going to pop mine on now that people know what they are. I didn't want to just be frosting before people don't know. Your case, and I'll present you there. see that, you know that this guy.
That's the right side.
Let's go with the left side.
Left side.
You got one on the right. What do you recommend?
This side right here.
There it is. Left side of this. You was checking for it, huh?
Yeah,
Left side of this.
Okay.
And so when you see that, you know that this is a man who's honored among us, shown respect, shown preference, shown favor, and we're eventually going to have a directory where you can like type in somebody's name and just like pull up to verify if they're one of us or not one of us. It'll be like maybe like a name and a birth date or something like that. Because it's going to get to the point where people are going to be trying to claim they in it, but they ain't in it. You feel me? It's going to get like that. Any questions, comments before we carry on?
How many people are conferred?
One.
How do you get converted?
There is a.
That's it in time.
There's a number of factors that go into it, but essentially, someone will propose you, and then, unbeknownst to you, you will be inquired about from a number of different saints, and then if a number of people sign off on you, then that will start you on the process. Like for example, in filling some of these positions, we asked about a lot of these people, and people signed up. Like you might have even seen in the Discord, I said, like, hey, who organized things in New York?
Yeah.
And people said, oh, so I said, hey, who organized things in NorCal? And everybody said Marcos, which is not surprising. So when you're one of those leaders who are coming up consistently, it's not that we're like picking you and making you a leader, it's like you're already a leader, and that's why we're confirming you. You've already demonstrated some things.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to confer a lot more people. But the reason that we have you guys here is you guys are going to be the core of everything we do, and we're not going to be sharing information freely.
Right.
Information is going to be very closed in, which is why we're shocked that you can't. We're shocked that you can't. But we of course welcome you. And the point is that information is going to be held tightly. The guys who are conferred are going to be trusted guys. The guys who have titles are going to be most trusted guys, and we're going to be the leadership of the Assassin at large, and then the Assassin at large is going to be the leadership for the world, teaching them how to live in an upright way, and basically, working against things that we know to be evil. Any other questions, comments? Fantastic.
I was just gonna say that in March, we have another Toronto Saints meetup, and each time we see more guys showing up, that way, hey, we're about to pull up, so it's good to see it growing and seeing new faces, expanding our structure, So.
And who organized this one?
This one is Ramsey organizers.
Ramsey organized it. Exactly. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can't be involved in everything. I don't have a chance to know everything. So that's why, I got my captain on my captain, like, who's Brandon? And I expect him to go get a report and come back and let me know. And I expect the executives in each region to know who their guys are. But most importantly, these are servants, right? They should be serving and organizing and putting on events. And we want to make a requirement that every executive have, like, for example, like at least a regular monthly workout at the very least. The workout would be at the end. Like, so if you guys met up to eat or talk, workout at the end so everybody can go shower. Your cleanliness is important. But we want to hear from you guys what you're doing so that we can standardize it across the entire planet Earth. Anything else? Yes.
Can we add the Chicago Saints to this? Because we've been linking up for like the past month or so. Me, Flows, and Khalil.
Oh, you're saying Flows?
Yes.
Wow.
So,
I knew about your government this whole time. Wow, okay.
Yeah, so me, Flows, and Khalil, we always thinking of working out, going out to eat, hitting the scene in Chicago, speed game, doing our thing.
Okay.
And this really, helped us put, the leadership in order. And if anything, I would recommend him to be the captain, St. Flows to be the captain.
Okay.
And then we can discuss how everything goes.
Okay. So we'll talk about it, we'll get it figured out. And that's what it's about. It's about guys taking leadership. It's a leadership organization. And that's what we do. Like, we're not putting people in position because I asked them to be in position. We're putting them in position because they put themselves in position. Like, for example, there's some people I said, hey, do you want to do this? They say yes. Or I ask some people, do you want to do this? They say, no, so-and-so's better. Like, so-and-so's a guy. It don't matter to me. This is not an organization where you say, oh, you can't nominate yourself. Shit, if you the man, you the man. Say you the man. Like, I'm not going to tell you ain't, right? So, we can get that done. We want to get a little bit more background on what you guys have done and if you guys are growing it. Remember, you want to grow it. Like, because these are all executives, and especially if your ass got a whole continent, y'all should be deep. Y'all should be deep. Like, I already know NorCal is really deep, and what my executives should be doing when they're reporting out data to the COO is growth data. Like, hey man, last month we did our monthly event, we're at 10 people, this month we're at 54 people. And we want all of our executives on par in sharing, positive notes on, how to effectively grow the organization. Yes.
Marco, if you need anything help with any types of data analytics, just let me know. I can help in any type of way, because that's my field that I just graduated from. So I'm happy to provide any help with anything. So
that's a beautiful thing. We need some data.
Yeah,
Data's good.
Everything's like all these companies you see, everything is data now. Like everything is going that way. So it's crucial.
Yes.
Oh, you had your hand.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if some people show up to an event, do they need to be saints if we want to count them, or are they just people who are interested in listening?
So you have like the saints, the believers, and then like the ignorant. I forget what I call them. Let's just say like ignorant as in like unaware, uninformed. And believers might not necessarily be like people who are like members, but they're like, oh, this stuff makes sense. Be yourself, be good to yourself, be good to good people. That makes sense. Exercise every day. That makes sense. So they get it. So I wouldn't count them as a saint if they're not a member. They become a member and they're a saint. But then they need to get conferred, and you all should seek to get conferred. So then, like, you're a trusted person. You're someone that we can vouch for and support and do favors for. That is a part of the natural progression. But when you're reporting out, you're just reporting out on attendance. You're reporting out on attendance. Yes.
John Jacob. One question that we had from the Chicago Saints was, how would you recommend growing, like our chapter or area? Like, would you recommend kind of going out on foot and just letting people know, or recommending videos, or what do you think that should look like?
That's a good question.
I'll recommend something for it.
You can. We'll do that during our meal. Yeah, you guys can chop it up about that during the meal. But what I want is, I want you guys to talk to your executive, captain, lieutenant, squad leader, your executive, powwow. And I want your executives to talk parallel to other executives who are growing. How are you guys growing? How do you guys get together? What do you recommend? What should we do as the entry point? And then reach out to our COO for strategy on growing your region. Yes. Yes.
How do we select the lieutenant, the captain, and the squad leader on each region?
That's up to you guys. And if you develop a magic, please do share. But the critical piece is that these need to be people that you really trust. And for example, I really trust Nick. I really trust Diego. I've spent a lot of time with them. I've hung out with them doing absolutely nothing. I've studied them. I know what their goals are. I know who their main girl is. I know they have a brother that plays video games all day. I know a lot. I trust them. Your captain is your head of security. So, before I let people in my house, I was like, who's Brandon? Right? And who's so-and-so? And, oh, is this Tyshawn that sells the jackets? Okay, cool. I expect him to know all those things. I expect him to care because he cares about me. Your captain, you should expect him to care because he cares about you. And this triad, if you will, should be really strong, because what happens is, say Isaiah's like, hey. Yes.
I'm going to pause you because Isaiah has a question. He said, what are the white dots underneath? I think he's asking like what's below.
Yeah, come a little closer, why don't you? Show him. But if Isaiah shows up in San Francisco, you should be able to put a detail around him. You should be able to put a security detail around him. And your security detail should look remarkably similar to his security detail in the way they move, the way they speak, the way they dress, the way they communicate, and their effectiveness. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It should be very standard.
Got it, yeah.
Yes.
Set the standard, like I said, worldwide standard.
Worldwide, completely very standard. I don't care which country, which language, but the important thing is your captain, you have to trust them. That's your head of security. That's the guy that's protecting you. And as I said earlier for Cassidy, when the chrome get done, Aki, your bodyguard's gonna be trying to guard their own body. The bodyguard will guard their own body when it's go time, because they're there for money. This should be something that someone your friend, they care about you. Right. Yeah. We good?
Yeah.
All right, great. Just want to give you guys time on this because I'm not telling you everything that we're gonna be. You guys are founders in what this will be. You're the creators in what this will be. So when we say there's a requirement each month, my executive should say, hey, I think the best thing is we should just do a workout at least once a month. That's our touch point, where it should be fill in the blank. Because I'm not doing it. You guys are doing these things in the regions. We're good? Okay, fantastic. Now, winding down, it's my last slide. Then we're gonna take a break, and then you're gonna get deep into some real security. Now, I want you guys to understand, like, everything that we're taking, there's always a grand vision. SaaS and security, starting for the region executives, obviously myself, headquartered in St. City, I got my captain, we have our security detail here. In all of the regions, you'll have a captain, you'll have a security detail. It should be standard for a number of reasons. Number one, to protect you, because we're preparing for tomorrow. And number two, in the future, when people come to your city, which a lot will, when influencers come, maybe the first time, hey, you need security, we'll take care of it. Put a detail around them. They like it. Oh, damn, these guys are good. 4 guys, they know how to, oh, this is amazing. Cool, when you come back, let us know, this is the price. When your friends come, let them know, we'll take care of them, this is the price. On the training side, as we're doing drills to get our guys trained up, they're either gonna volunteer, no cost. These are how you know people really mess with you. They're really dedicated. Or we give them a survival wage. Minimum wage plus 1 penny. I'll pay the penny if you don't have it, okay? You know, call me, I'll pay the pennies. You guys need the pennies, just so we don't have that minimum wage. Point is, we don't want anyone to think of this as a job. We want you all to have greater goals than being security within the SaaS. We all want you to have greater goals. But when you guys are trained up really well, and then an influencer comes into your city, SaaS will basically do all the marketing, do all the connections, do all the billing, and then we'll pay you out a premium wage. So your region will be earning significant money from, you know, for example, Tiger's always in Vegas. I see him all the time where I stay. He has this one bodyguard. I'm like, I'll sock your fucking bodyguard. I don't know why. I have a sick mind. I'm sorry. I'll sock your bodyguard the fuck out and choke your little ass out. You're like this big. It looks like lesbians. Anyway. Point is, he just got this one guy. If I like, now what, buddy? Now you little lesbian, come here. Point is, we'll pay them a premium wage. So everything is essentially you're drilling when you're meeting up with them regularly, getting them trained up. They're drilled, they're high quality. Then when these guys come in, we're gonna move from influencers to celebrities to politicians and then to dignitaries. Around the world, we'll be known for having the greatest security organization, and it'll be well compensated for all the people involved. On this side, we just want to make sure that some of our guys who might be unemployed, might be fresh out of high school, might be really young, we can put a little bit of money in their pocket. They're in a job search, hey, you ain't got shit to do, you just sitting at home playing with your meat, playing video games. Do the security detail, man, we'll pay you $10 an hour, whatever the minimum wage is in your locality. Does it make sense? Anyone have any questions, comments? You guys understand how this is supposed to move? Does it make sense? Any objections? You can object, that's why I brought you guys here. You guys can object, feel free. I'm saying crazy shit.
Can you explain the premium wage again?
Yeah, so survival wage, so I don't even know what the minimum wage is in Vegas, maybe it's like $8.
Yeah, it's 12.
It's 12, damn, what? Damn, $12? That's crazy, okay. So say I need a security detail. For me, I would hope people will volunteer. I would hope, but if they don't, we'll pay $12 an hour. Hey, I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z, I'll have my guys with me, and we'll pay them all $12 an hour. And of course, we're gonna pay for your travel, if accommodations are necessary, if you have to go to a venue, or if you have to eat, of course, it's all on me. Jabrizi reaches out. He's like, hey man, I wanna do X, Y, and Z, I need a detail. Cool, pay you survival wage. So like, you 4 guys are on this detail, we're gonna pay you a survival wage, which is minimum wage plus a penny, right? Because we don't want you at minimum wage. So we'll pay you a survival wage. But say, Jabrizi had a friend. Who's a famous bad bee we can think of? Rihanna. Okay, Jabrizi's friend Rihanna comes in town. She's like, hey, I need a security detail. Great. We're going to transition from here to a premium wage. So now organizationally, we're going to say, okay, how many hours you need this detail? She said, okay, well, I'm going to be in town for 2 days. I need a detail for 10 hours a day. 2 days, 10 hours a day. Okay, we got you. We're going to put 4 guys around you. So say we bill her like $6,000 a day, right? We take that in organizationally, and then we pay you a premium wage. So whereas here, you would have got $10 an hour. You're essentially doing it for these are your people, for your family. And then celebrity, influencer, politician, dignitary comes in town, and then we're paying you out like $80 an hour. Yes.
It kind of reminds me of the Italian mafia. Like what they would do a little bit, like with their organization and everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in that case,
How they push
yeah.
out the politics. I'm not speaking like, what I mean, how I see it is kind of how like, maybe like the mafia in New York or possibly Chicago, they would talk to the businesses and they kind of give them.
Everything's a gang.
Yeah.
They're all teams, right? Teams, gangs, the same thing.
Is that fair to say or no?
Oh, well, it's the same thing with the government, right? Like, what did the mafia do? They make you pay a certain amount of money to have your grocery store in their neighborhood. What does the government do? They make you pay a certain amount of money to have your grocery store in their country, right? And they actually make you pay twice. The mafia only makes you pay once, right? The government takes it on the income tax, and then you spend the dollar, they take it on the sales tax. That's really dirty. Mafia is clean, government's filthy. But the point is, yeah, they're all just teams or gangs, and the only question is whose gang is the strongest, the best organized. We want the strongest one, stronger than the mafia, and stronger than the American government, and stronger than all the governments. We want to become the government, right? Not elected government, like we are the government, we decide. Nobody needs to vote, right? Well, we vote among each other, but the people we're running, they don't need to vote. We're voting. We got our executives, and you know, that's how we do business. Yes?
So hypothetically speaking, let's just say we do have celebrities, influence politicians coming to our city, right? So we in Chicago, well, no, the Chicago says we're in Chicago. So, and it's real, it's like serious goons out in Chicago who really be on some grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
So, is being armed okay within the South?
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Brother Alex will take you into all of that. No, it's not necessary. And also part of your captain's role, if a celebrity says, yeah, I want to show up, I want to go to O Block, I want to go to the South Side, I want to see where Chief Keef grew up, the captain is going to say, oh no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. If we have saints there, we'll see if we can make an arrangement, but if we don't have saints there, then that's not going to be a part of your itinerary. I'm your captain, I'm deciding on your security. That's not secure. So we're not going there. Right. Yes.
Are we trying to make it so every saint can be of this security, or are you looking for a certain archetype like 6'5", 250, blah, blah, blah?
The brother Alex will go into this one. Yes. And remember, when I was talking about socking out Tiger's bodyguard, which is because I'm a sick person. You're a sick person too. Every now and then you look at somebody like, I swear I could put you down. Like let you say something crazy, I'm gonna try to put you down because I want to put you down because you feel like you big, but I don't feel like you that big. Tiger bodyguard got like 6'5", 2 something crazy, big muscles. But I know he can't throw them things. You heard me? So if you get hit in the jaw, you could be 380. You gonna go down, bro. You going out. You going out.
Side note, I've seen Floyd bodyguards get put down constantly by people my size.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, it's muscles don't mean size.
Yeah, one of his bodyguards got beat up in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Japanese guy.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
So what is assassin training? So like when we schedule our workouts, right? When we have bodyguards, we say, let's say we bring people in. We say, okay, this is we need to have weekly these are the workouts that we do. What is the overall assassin workout? Or is that?
So the workout, if you guys want to do a workout, you want to be on brand as a baseline. So when we give you guys things from headquarters, we're always giving you the minimum. You can build on top of it whatever you want. But like for example, the minimum, you should be able to jump rope for 15 minutes. You should be able to do at least 16 burpees, 3 sets. Every morning, you should be doing 100 push-ups. So we know what the standards are. Now, if you guys are psychopaths in Chicago, you're like, man, we doing 400 push-ups this morning. Like, great, fantastic. Just don't have any people ever show up to headquarters and they can't do 100. Because that will reflect poorly on the executive, and we'll probably have to replace him because he's not living sanely. He's living like other people. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and you guys will define what's standard for the org and which one in your region is good for your region. Because we have to respect that each region may be within a culture. So the saints in Sweden might have a different kind of culture. Like for example, if it's snowing, we're not about to go out and jump rope, outside. Like there's just certain things that are going to be culturally bound. Anything else? Yes.
Will there be a combat training facilitated, like how to dodge?
You're talking about in terms of security or just in general?
For security.
I'll let the brother get into that. Anything else?
I just want to say something about the
markets and billing, could you just touch on that?
Yes. Oh, yeah, so marketing, all this stuff, so basically, it should be that we've created a strong enough superstructure that when someone's coming into your city, they know, oh, you know, if I want security, like, I could either like Google like security in Chicago, or I could just reach out to the Assassin, because I know they do this. And when I talk to the COO, he's gonna tell me, okay, well, what do you want? Okay, cool, this many hours, we're gonna put this many guys on you, what activities do you wanna do? Great, hey, you need to cover all the expenses for X, Y, Z, here's your invoice. We're gonna do marketing, which means getting incoming leads, they're gonna do the billing, which means collecting the payment, and then they're gonna provide the premium wage to the guys on the ground. So, you know, they're gonna reach out to the captain, hey captain, we got this order for X, Y, and Z, you got 4 good guys, they're gonna do fantastic, this is the rate that makes sense, does that make sense to you? Yeah, for sure, my guys would love $80 an hour, $100 an hour, whatever the rate is gonna make sense at.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
So for the region executive, so when an executive comes into, let's say, the city that I'm in,
Yeah.
so we would, the people within the city would ensure that the executive has security, and we would pay for the
No.
person within the city would
No.
pay for the security that's hired?
No, that should be volunteer.
Oh, volunteer.
Yeah, like say your cousin lives in Alabama and your cousin is flying into, what city you in?
Chicago.
So your cousin's flying to Chicago, right? Would you be like, hey bro, a hotel would charge you $300 a night, so just give me $200 a night? Like, you wouldn't tell you shit. You'd be like, nah bro, sleep on my couch, right? So we are the same, right? Like we are the same. So if an executive is coming into your city, then they'll let you know, hey, I'm coming to Chicago, I'm gonna be here for these nights, I might need this or need that. They might not need anything. They might just like, hey, are you guys working out? Or whatever the case is, hey, I wanna get something to eat, where do you recommend I go? So they might just connect with you like that if they need some security, or they want some, or they just wanna see your team and see how good you guys are, which they very well might, they're entitled to. Yeah, put a team around, they should be completely volunteer. And that's just to make sure that you guys are sharp.
So when would you pay someone a survival wage, and where would you get those funds from?
That's a good question, and that's why we have to figure out the true standards for our executives. Because like, for example, Jabrizi could pay, now I'm gonna put your business out there, but Jabrizi could pay a survival wage if he wanted a team around him. He could, I could pay a survival wage if I want a team around me, right? And so the question is, should our requirement that the executives be liquid enough that they can pay a survival wage for these people? Right? And also, I hate when money gets involved in things, because generally it's hard to ascertain why people are doing what they're doing, right? Like an unemployed person is gonna work for money. Full stop, right? But we want people who are doing it because they really believe. You know, they believe in what we're doing, they believe in the importance of what we're doing, they understand our greater goal. But yeah, I can pay a survival wage, Degrees can pay a survival wage, I'm sure Ramsey could pay a survival wage. But we don't want to be in the habit of charging each other, and also, we also don't want to be in the habit of using each other, right? So we need to find a saintly balance. But if someone's not within this thing of ours, we're gonna need that premium range, absolutely. And these are the things that we'll end up creating a rule book over, and when it's in question, we'll go to assassin arbitration, and then we'll decide, like, gentlemen, like what's appropriate. Yes. And I think it's reasonable to create some standards around who can be an executive, yes.
There's a question on the live stream.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Daniel said, what's the primary implication for the assassin of an influencer using the assassin for security?
The implication?
Yeah.
I think it's actually great for us because it gives us more visibility. And then, right, it gives us more visibility, number one. I'm looking at you like you asked the question. It gives Assassin more visibility, and the brother's gonna talk about a number of things that I think will answer probably many of the questions that you're holding right now. But number one, it lets people know that we're out here, and that alone, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Malcolm X movie. I'm sure you get a clip from it. The Malcolm X movie, there's a scene when Malcolm X was still a part of the Nation of Islam. This is before when it was growing. He was walking down, he had the brothers with him as security, and then there were some young men watching them. Who's that? He walked into a cafe, sat down, and had a meal. And it was actually a cafe that was owned by the Nation of Islam. This is one of the great things about the Nation of Islam. They used to be strongly about entrepreneurship. I went to a number of restaurants and grocery stores in Oakland too. Yeah. But anyways, he went in there and sat down, and the young man comes in, he says, hey man, like, I don't know what you do, I don't know who you are, but I want to be a Muslim. And Malcolm was like, do you know anything about what we believe or what we do? He's like, no. He's like, but I see these brothers right here, like, I want to be a part of this. Which is to say, we're going to be an example, the likes of which they have never seen before, they will probably never see again unless they're looking at us. And they're going to want to be a part of it. We're going to have a uniform that's going to be sharp. I'm going to make sure I'm going to let the brother go into it. I'm not getting into it.
You know, if I can add on to that,
Yes, sir.
you know, it would be powerful because, take for instance, like me, I'm invited to a lot of events. Last event I was at, it was like Paris Hilton, all these celebrities just everywhere. And I can have them in arm's reach and touch them, right? And if I had the assassin with me, what's up?
Be careful where you sound touching them.
But if I had the assassin around me, you know, the sheer influence that the assassin can have on them would be tremendous because, for one, you're around people who think they're influential. When you actually see real influence, oh, it's separates you night and day.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
And when instances like that come around, people will say, well, who is that? Why, who are these guys around you? They're my brothers.
Right.
Just like in the mafia, oh, he's a good fellow. He's a good friend of ours. We answered the question, but we didn't answer the question because I don't have to answer the question. But the presence is going to be known enough to where you won't touch me. So that's the idea. That's the concept. Straight militant. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Perfect question.
Yes, sir.
So how does one climb the ranks within the house?
That's a good question. Anyone have any ideas on that? How does one climb the ranks within assassin?
Just show and prove.
Show and prove. This man really is from New York.
Yeah.
Show and prove.
Demonstrate leadership.
This man is succinct. Demonstrate leadership. That's a good call. I agree. And no one on the hierarchy is there just like because I personally like them because I don't have time to spend time with most of you. I just don't have time. And I'm an introvert. I actually like to be by myself. So I only get information through you guys. Or through observing your deeds or seeing the products of your deeds. So yes, like you put out work. You put out work. Now, who knows who this dude is?
Napoleon.
Yeah. If y'all got that one, I'm like, God damn, cancel everything. You can't read. Okay. Yes, Napoleon Bonaparte. Who knows who he is though?
French dictator.
French,
something like that.
That's true as well.
Blew the nose off the Sphinx, right?
They say.
Conquered and got a lot of in there, yeah. for
Yeah,
France.
all of the above is true. Conqueror, best known as an emperor. He's born on the island of Corsica, trained in the military academy at Bayonne. Corsica was conquered. He went to France and was part of petty nobility. He eventually rose through the ranks because there was a revolution. They needed someone with talent and leadership. There were no competent generals around. He stepped forward. He opened up a major can of whoop ass, and he continued whooping ass all the way until he had become the leader of France, and then he tried to conquer much else. He is a bad motherfucker, in other words, okay? Above all, he's a conqueror, an emperor. You can't be an emperor unless you establish an empire. To establish an empire, you gotta conquer shit and make it yours. You gotta take shit from people. People might talk greasy about Putin today, but all the people we respect in history, all the men, they were conquerors. They're Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great. Great for what? Killing shit. That's what they do. They kill shit. If you do it successfully, history favors you. Like if Putin fails, he's gonna be a bad guy. Hitler's a bad guy because he lost. But if he'd have won, he'd be running shit, be a beautiful guy. We revere him like we revere George Washington. This dude used to kill shit. Why? He said to have good soldiers, a nation must always be at war. That damn near sounds evil. That damn near sounds evil. A nation must always be at war. What does that mean? Why?
In relation to, well, you know, it's like there needs to be a conflict because you lose your skills. Otherwise, like
That's
in
right.
nursing, like you have like certain skills that if you're working in a hospital setting, like if you don't work in a hospital clinical setting, let's say you move to a home health clinic or you move to hospice care,
Yes.
you're gonna lose your skills because
right.
you're not implementing those skills anymore.
Absolutely.
Haven, they say, peaceful time make weak men.
Peaceful times make we win. That's right. If you're not killing shit, you ain't gonna be good at killing shit. He kept him killing shit. Emperor, he trying to conquer some shit. That's how you make good soldiers. So when we say if an executive comes to your region, put a security detail around them. Why? So they can practice. So when Rihanna shows up, they're not acting goofy.
Right. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
It's a pleasure to be here. Marquette, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Really appreciate it. It's been great getting to know you and conversing with you about what we're going to do and what we're going to accomplish with the training piece. So, who is Alex X Davis? The X is like, man, you must love Malcolm X or something. You took on his name. That's not necessarily how it goes. So, I'm a member of the Nation of Islam, headquartered out of Chicago, Illinois, under the teachings and guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by Minister Louis Farrakhan. In the Nation of Islam, I just went and trained and worked with other brothers, and my first security detail was with Minister Farrakhan. And if you could imagine, my hand was shaking so bad because this man is very important. He orchestrated the Million Man March where not only 1 but 2 million men came out, and he's highly respected all over the world. And then that led to other security details. Everybody reaches out to the nation to do security. Snoop Dogg, Puff Daddy, Mace, Nas, I mean, you name it. I pretty much worked with everybody. Snoop Dogg for 2 years, and also Puff Daddy for a year, and who else? Kanye West for a half a year when he was Kanye. So that was from 2007 to around 2016, 2017 was my last official security detail. I'm only called when it's a really important security detail, so that's my history in the nation. So what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna attempt to do, is take all that information and hand it to you today. And again, my beginning was with Minister Farrakhan, who taught Black people first and everybody in general that you should value yourself, you should take pride in yourself. And so with that, I'm gonna go to the next slide, which he goes into a little bit of why he needs security, and I'm gonna take that example and lead it to what the assassin is gonna do.
When I walk into a television station and my brothers are around me, they say to me, Farrakhan, can you tell me why you have all of this security? Are you afraid? But what's under that is, nigga, who do you think you are? If the Pope comes in with his security, it's all right. If the president comes in with his security, it's all right. If Margaret Thatcher moves with his security, her security, it's all right. Because white people have value, but no black person should have security. But I am to black people what the Pope is to white people. If you leave me alone and let me teach, I will be to white people what the Pope could never be.
That's my teacher right there. So that leads me to the next slide, which is security, it's diplomacy, it's communication. 97% of security is how you talk to people, how you communicate with people, and how you are diplomatic with them. Okay. 3% is hand-to-hand combat. In the 2 years I did security with Snoop Dogg, traveling the world twice, there was two physical altercations. We had a guy jump a line and try to walk right up to him where he ran to a brick wall of 5 brothers. And then there was another time we were in Kosovo and someone had jumped on the stage. But diplomacy and communication, that's what's important. So, you should read books like How to Properly, How to Win Friends and Influence the People. That's a good book. And I'll get into a few more a little bit later. Oh yeah, red flag right here. We are going to go on a dry run this evening on Las Vegas Boulevard. So everything that I'm about to exhaust to you, I would definitely put in your long-term memory. It depends on what Captain Nick wants to do, but we're going to put a 4-man diamond detail around Brother Marquette tonight. We're just going to walk the street and let the people know we're present for peace, but we'll also secure our man. So we're going to work on this evening. So all the information I'm about to bring up, I want you to try to put in your long-term memory or write it down. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to pause me and ask whatever question you may have. So we'll be leaving the dignitary location is 20. That's military language. Leaving dignitary 20. So you may say to a brother, what's your 20? That means what's your location? Speaking of military language, does anybody in here have military experience? Okay, we got a couple of brothers. Cool, no problem. All right, so security. Why, who, what, and when? Nowadays, everybody wants security. You got guys that make good money. I need security. I'm going over here. You may not need security. You may just need to make better decisions. People like Minister Farrakhan, people like Marquette, those brothers are the ones that need security. Why do they need security? Because they're actually changing the fabric of people's lives. They're not just speaking and, getting YouTube views. No, all of us brothers, everybody in here was, even the sisters, all of us were changed by the teachings that Marquette gives on how to be a better person, thusly how to be a better man, how to be a better woman. What does that mean? The more you do, what Marquette brought up earlier about going against Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movement, brothers like that buck the system are targets, especially the brighter their light is. So before we need security, let's implement the security and already be proactive and think ahead for that. When does security begin? This is Minister Farrakhan during the Million Man March. As you can see, he's heavily guarded because there were 2 million men in the audience. So as you see them moving, they're not paying attention to this goofball right here. They got a purpose, they got a plan, they're on a mission, they're walking militant. They're not being distracted. When does security begin? As soon as you touch down and hit your client. As soon as you touch down and go with the person that you're going to secure, that's when security begins. And when does it end? So, and I'll get to this later, when we bring a principal back to his 20, before we even let him in the 20, we do a search of the whole parameter and on the inside, because we don't want somebody to be waiting, for him to get home. So as soon as he can be secured and put back into his 20, then that's when the security detail ends. Everybody all right? Mm-hmm. Pre-event security meeting. So before any security detail, there needs to be a pre-event security meeting. Discuss threat levels, okay? Every security detail doesn't need 4 to 10 men. Sometimes it needs 2, sometimes it needs 3, but also there's some times where it might be 15 to 20. Every security level is based on the threat level. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna use Marquette a lot because we're gonna start with assassin and then branch out to influencers. But let's say Marquette said, I wanna run some errands. I gotta go to the store, I gotta go to the mall, might go to the strip and get some fresh air and take a walk. Okay, so the captain then says, yes, sir. First of all, he's using militant language. Yes, sir, not, all right. That's so damn slack. Yes, sir. He decides how many men need to be put on that security detail. Maybe 4. That's just an example. Identify personnel positions within the hotel, restaurant, mall, and home. This is also another duty of the captain, which I will discuss those duties later. But it's the captain's ideas, his concepts on where he's going to place his men. So for example, if Marquette had a meeting inside his home with 2 or 3 people, it's the captain's duty to lock down the property. So he's going to put a man in the corner, by the door, in this corner. He's going to have men everywhere. So whenever somebody makes a swivel with their head, all they see is assassin brothers locking it down. And lastly, breaks. There are no breaks. I had spent 20 to 22 hours a day on security details when I rolled with Snoop. And it wasn't necessarily me just being right next to him. Snoop could have been in his room, but I might have been on post rotation. I might have been doing research. What I'm saying is, as a man, we're always using the most of our time and being constructive. There's something that you can do in the off time. So breaks, there are no breaks. Advanced team. Before any security detail really begins, we have to have an advanced team. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say Marquette chooses 4 or 5 of us, and he says, I'm going out of town, I'm going out of the country. Cool, no problem. He's going to obviously stay at what? A hotel. The advanced team creates a code name for Marquette. It could be anything. It could be Goku, it could be Bart Simpson, it could be whatever. That's the name the hotel's going to have on the sheet of paper in their computer system. The advanced team will continue to pick up the keys. So usually this is 2 brothers. They'll come and pick up the keys, and they'll go to the room. They'll go to the hotel room. They'll check everything. What do you mean check? Check for weapons, persons, anomalies. One time I was on the road with Snoop, there was a girl in the closet. What are you doing in there? Get out.
I didn't look, bro.
Katy Perry was. Check the trash can. Why do I say that? Because there was one time in a meeting where the minister was speaking and the brothers did a full sweep of the church. They went in the bathroom, took out the trash bag, and there was a gun or a knife in the trash can. So somebody was laying in waste, but they didn't succeed. Closets, bed, bathrooms, always check the full room, make sure it's clear. Once the search is done, once the room is clear, one brother will go downstairs to the lobby to receive Marquette and the security team, because guess what? They don't know where to go. He's already checked in. One of the brothers from Advance will escort him. He will be the point to take Marquette to his room, where there's also going to be the second brother from the Advance team there with the key to open it up and let him in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And the more you do it, the better it'll be. But Marquette had an interesting story from South Africa, I believe it was.
This is Kenya.
Kenya.
Yeah.
You want to tell about it?
Anybody know what happened in Kenya?
Somebody
I think it was on your Instagram. Someone went up to you guys and he was like, "Can I take his chain?"
Oh, no, that was something else. Actually, that was funny. No, long story short, that one I was, we had security, we were going through some slum in Kenya, and someone had asked one of my bodyguards, actually did have bodyguards this time, so I had a lot of jewelry on, and they had asked like, hey, can I take one of these chains? But they didn't tell me till I got back in the car and we were leaving, in the van and we were leaving. I was like, I wish you'd have told me that. I told them like, I give you a fair fight. If you win, I give you all of it. I give you all of it. I give you a fair fight.
I'll beat you.
I'll beat the shit out of this.
American strength, right?
No, to the brother's point, we were, I got to Nairobi, and I don't know precisely how they figured out, but someone had figured out which hotel we're in Nairobi. And I don't know exactly what they did, but I presume maybe they called, hey, is Marquette Burton there? Front desk, like, yeah. And then they actually showed up. And I don't know, I was actually stretching at the time. I'm on the floor stretching, about to go down for a spa appointment. So the phone rings and assistant answers the phone and they're like, hey, there's a guest for Mr. Burton. And they're like, oh, you talking about the spa appointment? And they're like, no, there's someone right here for Mr. Burton. And like, well, who is it? And then I guess the person puts on the phone like, oh, they're asking your name. And then the person says, oh, tell them peace to the saints. And then so they get back on the phone, they said, oh yeah, they said peace to the saints? And then the assistant looks at me like, hey, they said peace to the saints. Are you expecting somebody? Like, Hell no, I don't know anybody in Kenya except like the police chief. I don't think that's him down there. I got him on WhatsApp. But I say that to say, essentially someone had somehow figured out what we're saying. I guess it's pretty easy. In some of these retrograde economies, there's only like one 5-star hotel, maybe 2 or 3 tops. And so all you have to do is call 3 places and get my full name, which is, easily available. And so I guess they called and asked and then showed up and then just called up to the room, which is to say that it's fairly easy to infiltrate or catch someone. And we didn't use any of these protocols, obviously, because we didn't know at the time. We didn't have a code name method. They used my legal name, so they're able to track us down. And so there's obviously increasing risk. Now, granted, I was probably a fan. No one that I knew or recognized their name or anything like that. But I see the importance of what you're talking about because we experienced it.
Yes, sir. And I'm going through this information quite fast, but again, this is years of information. This is years of trial and error. So you don't even have to worry about that because the groundwork has already been laid. Conduct. Remain in soldier mindset without wandering eyes. Now, brothers, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said the hardest trial for a man is a woman. So, and trust and believe me, I'm going to use a lot of examples of me being on security details. It's not to like be flashy, trust and believe me, that's not even what I do full time anymore. I'm a golf pro now. I teach lessons and I play golf. But talking about wandering eyes, and it's gonna be hard to, if you're in a club and you're doing security, quits enjoying themselves and sisters walking around and women walking around and they trying to catch eyes with you and for you not to be looking at, let's say we ain't gonna look at their ass, all right? We're gonna be straightforward and be militant. It's the small things that are gonna make the hugest differences. So we're not entertaining them like, hey girl, what's going on? Let me get your number later on. No, we're not doing any of that. We're gonna be militant with the soldier mindset at all times. The way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we act. There's no slouching, there's no chewing gum, there's no leaning up against the wall. Just like this brother is right here. That's the mindset, that's the attitude that we're gonna have. So, restrain, lower your gaze, and soldiers don't shake hands or hug sisters or females. I keep saying brothers and sisters because I'm in mosque mindset. But soldiers don't shake hands with females. If you want to greet a woman, you say, hello ma'am, how are you? Again, militant, ma'am. Now, what's up girl? What's up woman? Ma'am. Sir and ma'am. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you're observing threats in the environment, I know you talked about like looking at the physical environment, but I know some people will tap your phone and sometimes phones aren't secure. Right. Is there ever any thing in the security process where you're kind of making sure that the phones are secure? Or the mobile devices? I have an electric man or technological brother in the nation that I need to talk to see exactly how they go about that now, because that is true. That is something that they could do is tap in, but also there's code language that we use to where even if they were to tap into it, they would have no idea what we're talking about. So that's a great question. So I will get that for you when I talk to the tech rep, and also the code language. We'll discuss that when we discuss verbiage, soldier to soldier, soldier to civilian, and also with the dignitary.
I was gonna say, for that question, you could look for something called VPN or something like that.
Yeah, there's a few apps out there that actually descramble certain codes and messages that actually
you can't get your stuff hacked and stuff like that.
For example, I'll bring this up since the question was asked. Let's say Marquette was in a hotel room and you're the brother standing outside his door and he may open the door and say, hey, I'm ready to roll out in 10 to 15 minutes. You're gonna get on the phone and you're gonna call your captain, your squad command, whoever the designated brother is for that day. And you're gonna say a word to him. And then that way all the soldiers know it's time to roll out. Now what that word is, you all can decide and you can change it every day. So when you meet in the morning, like I put the free security training, you'll say this is the word of the day. It could be motion, it could be rocket, it could be this, it could be that. So that way everybody knows it's time to roll out. Engaging with the dignitary, engaging with civilians, and engaging with, soldier to soldier, sentinel to sentinel. I just brought that up. When we engage with the dignitary means whoever the client is, the principal is, whoever that person is. Again, it's all militancy. I cannot express that enough. Every move is a move to intimidate. So when the dignitary might say, hey brother, I need something. Okay, well, yes sir, what do you need? I'm not, what, lackadaisical. That's not the way that you go about doing things, okay? If you look at the FOI, if you look at the fruit of Islam, them brothers are never slouching, they're never slacking at all. That's 50 push-ups for every time that you get caught with your hand in your pocket, chewing gum, using the wrong language, so we don't want to be that. We want to be straightforward, militant, speak to the dignitary with a sense of urgency. There's always something to do. Be proactive when you talk to your client. Be proactive when you talk to Marquette. Civilians, again, we use a militant language. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Why is that? Because we are a military. We're not a church organization. We're not a non-for-profit organization. We're not the Marching Dimes. We are assassin military now. So we have to conduct ourselves as a military. Yes, sir.
I know you talked about greeting females and not extending hands or hugging.
Right.
But what about you see, men in the environment who might want to converse with you? How do you approach those situations?
It's a case-by-case scenario. Essentially, we don't really talk to civilians like that unless it's in the line of duty. I have some general orders that I'm going to bring up either later on today or tomorrow, and the general orders will be your success. So if you're ever in a situation and you don't know what to do or you have any questions, you fall back on those general orders. But one of the general orders is not to allow nuisance on my post. So it's a case-by-case scenario. Yes, sir.
What do you do if you're on a detail and you're walking through with your principal and someone says,
hey, you look sharp, that's a nice tie. You keep it moving. We're straight military brothers. We ain't entertaining nothing that doesn't have to do anything with the principal. Now, of course, as we're moving with the principal, and somebody might come and say, that's a nice tie. If he walks any closer to me, then I hit the highs on that. We push him to the side, okay? And when I say push, I don't mean like push. We're not the aggressor at all. We're never the aggressor. We're never looking for a fight. We fight with those that fight with us. And when you fight with us, you fight to the death. Yes, sir.
So, Marquette talked earlier about the premium wage and everything, getting clients and stuff. So, how would are you going to be talking about ways to engage with people who might have the security detail, but you might want to speak with them to network or something? Do you go over strategies on how to speak with these people?
We definitely can do that. I wouldn't do that while you're on a security post.
Of course.
That's what you're asking.
No.
You're just asking how to get leads, basically.
Yeah, and engage.
Yes. I think what Jabrisi brought up was a good start with that and going to some of these events. I know some of the FOI back in the days of the 80s and 90s, they would go out to the club and just make their presence known. They might be outside the club or something like that, walking around, and they might ask a brother, you need security. And that's how they got started doing security. And then also, they asked brothers and sisters to come to the mosque. So now I got you in the mosque. Now you're getting good teaching. Now you're feeling the love because it's not a job. When I did security for the minister, we don't get paid. So it was straight love for that man. When I started doing security details for celebrities, then that's when my captain said, this is the contract we signed, this is how much you'll get paid. But we definitely can go over how to get leads, definitely making your presence known in different events and clubs. And for example, tonight, doing a dry run, people will see that. And then when we start wearing our uniform and going out together as a squad, then they'll be like, man, who are them brothers? Especially if we're militant, we ain't paying no sisters no mind, we're not looking at their bodily movements, we're not giving any validation anyway to any of these chicks. So it's straight militancy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, praise be to Allah. All right, body language. Again, this is one of the biggest things. No hands in pocket. It's a sign of laziness and slackness. Yes, sir.
Could you just define militancy real quickly?
Militancy is someone that's disciplined. They have the characteristics of a soldier, a military soldier. So you can look up Army, Navy, Marines, the type of actions, the type of characteristics, their language, their body movements. That's what militancy is. But basically being a disciplined man, which Marquette preaches on and teaches on a lot. So militancy is just being within yourself and not being slack at any case. So no hands in the pocket, that's one part of being militant. People that are in the military, these brothers will tell you that have been in the military. What happens if you get caught with your hands in your pocket?
You get reprimanded.
Yeah, you get chewed up a lot, you know? And that makes you defenseless if you have your hands in your pocket. If I have my hands in my pocket in this field, we're just doing this. Somebody runs up to me, I gotta take them out, I gotta break them up, and then I gotta get in position. By that time, I got the food pop, so I got the two-piece crisp. So, you know, you wanna just be ready at all times. Be proactive and think ahead and plan ahead. Standing up and sitting down, body language. So essentially this is at ease. The seams in my pants and my middle finger are there. My shoulders back, chest out. This is at ease, all right? Now in the military, the US military, at ease is like this. But why would that be a problem for security? Because if somebody's running to me, guess what I gotta do? I have to break out and I have to get in position. If I'm like this, I'm at ease, I'm still in my militant position, I'm still in charge, okay? We do things a little bit different than the US military, but that makes us better. Stance when you're on post, this brother right here, he has his right over left, that's fine. Sometimes you want to be like this. What I do right here is I have my foot forward, I have my leg forward. What is that doing? That's always preparing me to be ready for whatever may come my way. If you notice, most of this is just preparation. It's just being ready and staying ready and being observant. 95% of the time, I can get rid of any issues that may come my way if I'm already prepared and ready. So while you stand in post, brother might be in a meeting, you might be in the corner position. You're like this. I'm relaxed, I'm confident, I'm militant, or I can just be like this. Either way. Now, in some of the old videos and some of the old pictures of Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, you had brothers on the front rostrum like this. But that was when they first started the training. We don't do that anymore because we recognize that the breakup creates more time. So, body language at attention. So for example, this is me sitting at attention, right over left. I'm relaxed, I'm prepared. If you're standing up and you're at attention, put your feet together like this. Why would I be like that? Because the principal may come out and he wants to meet with all the men. He may say, all right, soldiers, get in formation, attention. So we get in attention. Why do we get to attention? Because we're ready to receive the instructions that he's going to give us and how we have to fall out with those instructions. So this is at attention, this is at ease, and this is when you're on post. Those are the two things. Now, I'm not telling you brothers to go about these security details being like you got a board stuck up your backside, you know, where you stiff and you can't move or nothing like that. We got some game, right? So, you know, you got to be smooth with it, okay? You know, you get to your post, you lock your post down. That's it. You still be relaxed, okay? And that's going to go into, the reason why I bring that up is because it's going to go into when we actually move with the principle and what we call in the Nation of Islam the diamond formation. There's a diamond formation that we make around our principle. And somebody had asked a question about hand-to-hand combat training or dealing with adversity or something like that. That was your question, right?
I think so.
Along those lines.
Yeah.
So from this position, there's about 7 to 8 different physical ways I can defend myself. This will be brought up in the next security training because for me to go through all 8, then 8 standing, then 10 doing this, we wouldn't have enough time. However, we will go over it sooner than later. Appearance, clothing, pants, pressed, dry clean, always have a good appearance about yourself. You never see the FOI, you never see the Fruit of Islam with dirty suits, baggy suits, whenever you, who's seen the FOI, the Fruit of Islam before? It doesn't have to be personal, it could be on TV, anything like that, but if you look at those brothers and you watch how they move, everything is pressed sharp. Why is that? Because we want to look good up front? No, that's not the purpose, because I am in a military and I am in uniform. So pressed, dry clean. If you want to dry clean your suit, it might be 20, I don't know. Palm Beach is 20, down here it might be 30 or 40, but have your suit dry clean, and also have one of those lint rollers and go over it, because you're going to get an all black uniform. So it's always important. Hygiene. Brush your teeth 2 to 3 times a day. Why do I say that? Because number one, it's just good hygiene. Number two is because we're a what? Military. So in the military, if I got some information from my captain, if I receive some information from my principal, I'm like, hey, he said bring the car down in 20 minutes, all right? That's not military. Military is, see, but I can't do that if I have bad hygiene. You don't want to be that brother that got the hum mouth, all right? The sound power is not for the hour. And then your nails. You always want to have your nails clean. There shouldn't be any dirt in there. The hygiene is very important to this process. The reason why I say that too is because people will observe you. People are observing you. We don't do this to get validation, but we do it to show people we're clean, we're safe. We're clean on the inside, we're clean on the outside. Just like our language, just like when we press and dry clean our suits. Everything has to be in uniform.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
We were talking and we had a lot of conversations. You had shared with me, because infiltration was mentioned earlier. This is something that we have to take really seriously. This is something that governments do and have done historically. Just really briefly, like for example, most of you might not know that Adolf Hitler joined the Nazi party to infiltrate it. He actually, as you guys might have known, he was in the military, in the German military, after he had finished his term. And by the way, he served quite bravely. He was awarded, and the government respected him, and they sent him to infiltrate one of these small fringe movements, So he went and infiltrated a small movement, and he actually liked what they represented and ended up joining it and taking over and growing it really big. But the point is, he actually joined it to report information back to the government to eventually destroy the movement. It just so happened that the government was rotten and he knew it, and he was a rebellious type. But I say that to say, this is what happens in real life. Movements are infiltrated. And you had mentioned to me a story about how you were able to tell that someone was pretending to be one of you, but was not one of you.
Minister, thank you for reminding me. Reminder's a blessing. It was Minister Farrakhan's 80th birthday, and we were inside the restaurant, and you had certain tables with certain people, whatever the case would be. It was me and my ex-wife, so my wife at the time, and another brother that was my chief of security, his wife, and a couple of other brothers. So there were like 8 to 10 people at this table. And again, military. He was nudging me. I'm like, what, man? And he looked like this, and I looked at the brother that looked back at me, and I said, what? What do you want? And he goes, so I looked over there, and the brother had his hands on the table, and he had crusts, and nails were all messed up. There's no way on earth he's a part of our organization. There's no way he's an FOI. So it's Minister Farrakhan's 80th birthday. The Alphabet Boys definitely were probably in the building. Alphabet Boys being the CIA, FBI, MI6. So if you see a brother out of uniform, it's the captain's duty to check that, but it's also our duty to say, brother, you might want to go in the bathroom and get your nails real quick, because we have to cover down on the other brother. I got a $100 fine one time because another brother went to sleep when we were in the motorcade going back to the mosque. Or not to the mosque, but going back to the hotels with Snoop. We were in, it was Glastonbury, Europe. And we were working all day long. It was like 100 degrees. And of course, as you can imagine, wearing a suit, 100 degrees outside. And one of the brothers sitting next to me fell asleep. My captain was across from me. He said, Brother Alex, Brother Lance is asleep. I said, yes, sir. So I nudged him. I said, Brother Lance, wake up. I'm charging you $100, Brother Alex, because you should have woke him up. He shouldn't even been asleep. So I'm getting him up because the brother that fell asleep is knocked out next to me. So we have to cover down on each other and make each other sharper steel, sharper steel. Uniform. Again, you're gonna get an all black suit, shoes, socks, shirt, pants, blazer, no necktie, button to tie. All right, that's gonna be your uniform for the assassin. One thing about uniform is that you have to be in uniform. There's something else besides the actual uniform that you have to have. Number one, handkerchief. Always have a couple of handkerchiefs. Why? Because you can remove sweat, nose, mouth, sweat. You know, you don't want to be perspiring in front of people. That looks disgusting. Always have a handkerchief. Also, not saying this is actually the case, but somebody drops something, you can use a handkerchief and pick it up. It can be something that would save your life. It could be a weapon. You don't want your fingerprints on there, so you use the handkerchief to pick it up. In the Nation of Islam, you would see brothers back in the day, and sometimes today, they have white gloves. And they used to be called white gloves inspection lists. But you want to have a couple of handkerchiefs. All right, that's a must. You can spend $6 at Walmart and get a pack of handkerchiefs. The next thing you need is a pen and a notepad. So you got a handkerchief and a pen and a notepad. Why do you think having a pen and a notepad is important?
Just so you're not forgetting details about certain things while you on patrol and shit.
Correct. I'm gonna take that a little bit further. Okay, that's true, but why not just use my cell phone? Why can't I just write the notes down in my cell phone?
Because the bike side we get it, maybe.
That, yes, anybody could hack your phone.
And it's like a standard all across, so we all have the same thing to do it.
Correct, that's true.
Battery on the phone, never run out.
Battery of phone. But also, guess what happens when we pull out our phone? Especially from the security detail, you're gonna get all these notifications, missed emails, missed text messages, calls. You have a thought in your head, and you go to get your phone out to type it in, like, oh damn, this person hit me on that, and then you go to write it out, and you don't forgot the whole doggone thing that compromised the detail because you want to use a cell phone. But see, this is how you have to think, you know, and it's not easy. I know it's gonna change a lot of our lifestyles. It's definitely not easy, but it will make us all better. So yes, sir, you're absolutely right. Handkerchief, notepad and pen. The third thing is a wristwatch. Always gotta have a wristwatch. Don't rely on your cell phone. So that's a part of the uniform as well. Wristwatch, handkerchief, notepad, and pen. Food, we're to be quick thinking and fast moving. We are what? Military, right? So if I'm in the military, I want to be light on my feet. I want to be quick thinking, fast moving. So guess what? That means I'm not chomping down burgers and hot dogs and fries on security detail. No ma'am, no sir. That is not our way. We want to eat light. Why would I suggest that we eat light and not eat heavy?
So you're not slumping.
So you don't feel like lethargic.
True. And then
I was gonna say, yeah, so you're not slumped and you can be able to react.
exactly, fast reaction time. Anybody else got anything else? Go ahead.
Just to prevent vomiting or any certain things.
Absolutely. The conditions can change quickly. And what I mean by that is this. My quip might say, I want to go to this place and it might be hot. Then he said, we're getting in the plane, we're going on to the other side of the world and it's going to be cold. With your body changing temperatures and all that, you don't want to have all this food and heavy and bogging you down. We want to be quick thinking, fast moving right down to the modern time. If I'm in military shape and I'm supposed to be standing at attention, I can't stand at attention and suck my stomach in and my stomach is rolling over my belt buckle because I've been eating hot dogs, burgers, and fries. So do not eat heavy foods. Salad, fruit, fish, water. That's what you want to consume. That's the best, trust me, and not to be vulgar, but we all been here, let's just be honest. When it's time for you to use the restroom, you want to be quick in there and out of there too because you have a security detail to go on. So if I eat light, I'm going to shit light and be right back to the fight. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
No carbonated drinks. So one of the brothers brought that up. No carbonated drinks because guess what that's going to do? That's going to make you feel bloated. So no Red Bull, no Monsters, and stuff a lot, definitely no pork. Now, of course, I'm not gonna make you do something you don't wanna do. However, I'm gonna highly suggest no pork because you are what you eat. If you continue to eat an animal that has no sweat glands, you'll take on those characteristics of that animal that has no sweat glands. So those are some of the ideas and concepts for food and beverage. Chain of command, Marquette brought this up earlier. We have a captain.
Alex, can I also make one note on
Yes, sir.
On the pork thing? We're not trying to change anyone's religion or diet or anything like that. One thing you do want to be aware of is everything that Alex is sharing with you is also about manhood. It's about power. It's about relationships. It's about domination. If you're networking, you might be eating pork among someone who might be Jewish, which means that's a no-no. They might be Muslim, which means that's a no-no. They might be Hindu, which means that's a no-no. And so you need to be aware of who you're around, and if at some level you can calibrate things so that you're not being offensive to persons you might want to endear yourself to, this is a smart move. So a lot of these things he's mentioning, you should really bring this into your life and live in a militant way.
Absolutely. And I brought up earlier how I teach golf lessons. I work at a country club in South Florida. And I still, to this day, when I answer a question, I say, yes, sir, no, sir. Even the way I stand, and people that are old Marines and military, like, did you ever serve? And I said, no, sir. Why would you think I served? They're like, just your whole disposition is like, you know, military. And this is me in my element at a country club giving a golf lesson. So just like Brother Marquette brought up, this is gonna hit every facet of your life. Think about if you went on a eating program where you were eating more lean meat, salads, consuming more water, you know, staying militant, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna change your mindset to the point where you're gonna prioritize your responsibilities first, knock those out, and become a better man day by just making small changes. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, praise be to Allah. So, chain of
question back here.
Yes.
So you said like not eating like heavy foods, but that's also like involve like environment, because like it's like your environment change, your success change. It's like if you're doing security like a sound sleeve, it's also bright lights, so you only want to drink water because you don't want to hydrate yourself. So how would that play into this? Like play into that as well?
Well, the one thing, I'm glad you brought that up. We don't eat and drink in front of our clients or the principal. Okay, that's a big no-no. You do that when you have the time to do that, so we're always constructive with our time. Remember I said there's no breaks? So what I mean by that is you may have downtime, but it's not necessarily break time. During that break time, I'm showering, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm using good hygiene practices, I'm lint rolling my suit, I'm showering, I'm trying to consume something or drink something, so that way when it's time for me to get back on post, bam, I'm ready, I'm re-energized, I'm fresh. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. I did want to bring that up earlier, but I didn't want to take too much time. So we always take the downtime, not the break time, but the downtime, call our family, our loved ones, get the suit ready, eat or drink something, and get ready for when you're back on post. Not to mention, there's been plenty of times where I've had downtime, and then I get that knock on the door or that phone call, we got motion. I gotta drop everything I'm doing, boom, 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 and get to going. So we gotta be very quick thinking and fast moving, all right? But smooth, not clumsy, looking like the Keystone Cops. So we have the chain of command. Before I get into this, I do want to ask this question. How many of you all watched The Godfather? Oh, perfect. How many of you watched it with Marquette when you guys got together to watch it? Cool. All right, that's good. So everybody's seen The Godfather, and somebody brought up this being like the mafia. You know, ideas and concepts can be used, but whether you're pushing that idea or concept for righteousness or unrighteousness, that's the product that you have to determine on what you're going to do. So, you have a captain. The captain has responsibilities. The chief of operations does, the lieutenant, and the squad leader. So we're going to get into this right now. The captain. This is a picture when I first met Mr. Farrakhan face to face. That was my chief of security, and that's one of the minister's security. His brother was 65, and he could hard knuckle 100 push-ups on the ground like that, like it was nothing. I have a story by Jim Jones I want to share with you tomorrow about Minister Farrakhan's security. Jim Jones, he's hilarious, but his points are right and exact. So the captain, he administers the Sasson rulings, or as we say in the nation, the captain administers the law of Islam. He administers discipline, all right? So the captain is the man that trains men. He's the man that makes the men. So whoever the captain is in your territory, you have to have the testicular fortitude to be able to administer the law, all right? Because you're dealing with men. And you're going to deal with men that may think, why do I need to listen to you? We're all human beings. This happens. However, he's to train the men. Does that make sense? Train them in what? Hand-to-hand combat. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and morally train the men. Sometimes the captain, and Minister Farrakhan, he used to be a captain. And he said in New York, he got so hard on the men because he was trying to administer the law that he was turning people away. So this takes a special type of man to know the rules and know how to administer discipline, but do it in a way to where the brothers will receive it to where they don't get turned away. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be soft or weak. We should be able to take constructive criticism, and that's why being in a sport, having a coach, having a team is so important, because those things will guide you into something that maybe later in the future you might have to deal with. The Chief Operations Officer, who remembers Tom Hagen in Godfather? He was the consigliere. He was the one that gave advice. Remember him and Sonny got into it when Sonny became the Godfather? And Sonny said, if I had a wartime consigliere, I wouldn't be in this shape right now. Papa had Jinko, look who I got. Yeah, I watched this movie a lot, all right? But he's the advisor to the captain executive, all right? So what this person does is he goes to the captain and says, hey, Cap, you might want to go about it this way. Or tell the men they should do it this way or that way. He's giving advice. He's giving counsel to the captain. He's not above the captain. He's like right there with the captain. They work hand in hand to make sure that everything functions smoothly. The Chief Operations Officer in St. City engages in regional executives. All right? Okay, so now we're getting to terms. We've discussed a lot about security. Does anybody have any questions before I go on to this next portion? We've discussed eating, food and beverage. We've discussed chain of command, advanced team, how to properly handle the people. Yes, Marquette?
Tell me about humility, because when you're in a military organization, if someone says jump, you jump. You don't ask when, what, why,
Correct.
How long. You jump till they say stop jumping.
That's true.
And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan now is a very powerful man.
Yes, sir.
And I would have never imagined him being like more so like a peon in that organization.
Right.
And so at some point, theoretically, you had to be humble enough to be at the bottom before getting to the top. And what about folks if someone's like, hey, I don't want to do that?
They don't want to do it. I mean, we're not going to force anybody to do something they don't want to do. But you can't be a part of this thing of ours. And that's another thing, brothers. We don't discuss sass and business with our significant others. We not running back home saying, hey, babe, I just saw Paris Hilton at this party and brother so-and-so did. No. Shut your mouth. Shut your trap. We don't the men don't discuss the men's business with our significant others. That's none of their business. They don't need to be worried about none of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Question. Let's just say we all on the scene, right?
Yes.
And full security detail, and we in motion, and we see, a group of ladies, they're trying to interact with us, they're really trying to distract us, and we just pull out business cards, hand them off, and just keep pushing.
That's a lot of work, though. That's a lot of work, though. That's my car. That's a lot of work.
We just handle their business. We handle our business card and just keep on. No, they get no validation. There's way that I wanna, tonight in the dry run, I wanna be able to show us hands-on how we move with the principal. Because when they see us tonight, rest assured, they're gonna be like, man, what them brothers, hey, what y'all about, what y'all, no, we keeping it, now, we're not being jerks, we're not being dicks, we're not being rude to people, I'm not saying that at all, but our presence is military. And unless I really have to engage with you, I'm not gonna speak with you. But as far as the minister being humble, back in 1955 when he joined, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, he said, brother, don't worry about how I teach. You just take those fine words that you learned in college and you take that to teach the people. And then the minister grew. In the nation, you have to really work your ass off, okay? Let me just be real about it. I mean, it's a thankless mission. You're out in the corner with a newspaper, a bean pie, some fruit, and no, I don't have none right now. You're out on that corner, and you're pushing that program, but the love of your people fuels you to be out on that corner. Just like the love for Marquette, the love for your fellow assassins is going to fuel your spirit, is going to fuel your drive to go out there and lock them down when you need to. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So humility is definitely key, and it's going to be the love for our people, the love for our fellow assassins that's going to keep us rejuvenated.
Alex, can I highlight something you said? I don't know if the brothers how familiar they are. He said selling bean pies. Like actually an actual pie in your hand, you're standing at a red light and you're like walking into people's cars or walking by selling bean pies and newspapers. In a full suit with a bow tie on. You're fully dressed like this, plus a bow tie, holding a bean pie in whatever weather is in your city. Selling bean pies for, I don't even know how much they...
$10, I'll get you two for the 15.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you came from, who your mama knows, how famous you are, how many followers you got, how much money you made, how big and strong you are. You're selling bean pies because that's the process through the organization, and that's what everybody goes through. It's important to know that you'll never be a great leader unless you can be a great follower, and you'll never be a great follower unless you can exercise humility. Which is everyone should be humble enough to be able to start at the beginning of something and to honor that thing. That's why you go into a fraternity, you go through a pledge process. No matter who you are this week, you're a star football player, you go through a pledge process. Nobody cares. The humility helps you understand and relate to other people, but it also says a lot about you. One thing we want to be very clear about when he said, if you don't want to be a part of this thing of ours, be on your way. Not talking to you guys, but know that we're organizing something that's elite. A lot of people will want to be a part, they just won't be qualified. They'll try, they just won't have the meet minimum requirements because it's not for everybody, it's for great men. There'll be some people who don't want to be great and they want us to make accommodations. There'll be no accommodation. The standard is 15 minutes of jump rope and you can do 14 and a half, you're fucked. You gotta go. You're not one of us. It just is what it is. But the humility piece I want to emphasize, and I also hope to be an example of that, which is to say, if a brother needs a security detail and no one else is around, I should be humble enough to be on that security detail and wear the uniform. Now the uniform will be cleaner than a bitch. It'll be cleaner than a bitch. Absolutely. But that being said, I should still be willing to remove my individuality, put on a uniform, and then stand equal with whoever else is on the security detail. Focus not on me and cracking this broad. No matter how thick she might be, I wouldn't know, I'm not looking, but she might be tremendously thick. Might be, tremendously. But I'm here to protect someone's life. I have to treat their life as though it's valuable. It might not be valuable to anybody else, but to me it's of the utmost. So you're looking at this person as your mother, your brother, your father, and you're protecting them with that level of seriousness. Because I could hire bodyguards, I have done that before. Armed bodyguards with big clappers, you heard me, for real. But we're doing this ourselves because, for example, the Jewish people, you know they have their own police force? Right. Shamrim. They do that because historically, people didn't care about them. People cared to attack them, but people didn't care to protect them, so they protect themselves. So, be sanely, if you ain't on duty, you're not on post, you're not on a detail, please do holler at her, absolutely. If you're on post, she doesn't exist unless she's a threat, and then she needs to be neutralized. You see what I'm saying? It has to be it's a very serious thing. Militants is very serious.
So, you're trying to build a sense of loyalty, not mercenaries, because mercenaries can be bought for a higher price.
Precisely. Exactly. And we shouldn't even have to build the loyalty. The loyalty should already be there. as being a part of this thing. That's why, you know, we have one person confirmed. One.
Very good points. Thank you, sir. Do you have a question?
Yeah, it was separate to what we were talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, let me, I'm gonna wrap this part up real quick and then, actually, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about like I understand security is about like preserving like life and order. It's not about
Correct.
being the aggressor and nothing like that.
Yes, sir.
But there's a time and place for that as well. You know what I'm saying? So like what offensive measures do we take in case, you know what I mean? We gotta take it there.
I'm gonna get into the
smoke.
I love it.
That's my
I
job.
love it.
That's my job.
We're gonna talk about the diamond formation in just a minute. I'm actually gonna talk about extraction here in just a second, okay? How many actually know martial arts, been to a dojo, anything like that, boxing? Okay, cool. We're gonna have to sharpen those skills because we're gonna need them because we are a security detail. We're gonna take security measurements. One thing about humility I will bring up is that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did go into the streets of Chicago every Monday in the year 2012 and 2013. Why did he go on the streets of Chicago? Because people were getting killed left and right at a crazy amount. So the minister went to the streets to shake hands and stop the killing, or at least contribute to that.
What year did you say?
2012, 2013.
Or that's when it was really hot. Murder was really hot. Wow.
And that security detail was crazy. And I was the third car in the motorcade. So I'm driving the car in the minister's motorcade. Another piece about humility, you know, again, I'm going through this information fast because there's a lot of information to delve into. A brother being on the corner with the newspaper and pie. You know, I'm from Rockford, Illinois, which is 90 miles northwest of Chicago. So it was days where it was 30 degrees, 20 degrees, wind blowing, snow hitting your face all hard. I'm still out there, final call, brothers, final call. You know why? Because I actually, and I still do, love the brotherhood and I love that work because I saw it transform people's lives. And so it didn't matter how cold it was, you know, you get your hour or two in, you report your information to the paper captain, you're good to go. 3 terms, and then it looks like the food is here. Oh, we still got some time. Extraction team. What is an extraction team? What do you guys think that means? Just basically, yes. Yeah, it's your Luca Brasi squad, you know? Okay. It's your they out there ready for them things. So let's say Brother Marquez like, hey, I want to go to this club, boom, boom, boom. All right, now the captain gets his extraction team ready. The extraction team is about 5 to 6 brothers in place inside the club that wear civilian clothing that have their ears and their eyes tuned to what the people are saying at all times, okay? These brothers have a formation where they're going through the crowd so they hit everybody in the crowd. Meaning what? If somebody was planning something in the club against our brother, we got to jump on them before they get to jump on us. And when we get to jump on you, we fight until the death. You know, so somebody about to have to go. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. That's the extraction team. However, he's gonna know when he needs an extraction team because he knows the clubs and he knows the atmosphere here better than most people. And then also you have Class A. What is Class A? Class A is your uniform, your black on black uniform, what you'll be wearing maybe 80 to 90% of the time. It's rare that you see FOI without a bow tie or a straight tie or a suit. They do have walking suits they wear, but that's rare that they use those. And then Class C is just you're on security, you're known as security, but you have civilian clothing on. So it's not extraction, it's just that, let's say Brother Marquette wants to go to the mall or whatever. He's like, don't even dress in Class A, just bring Class C. Yes, sir. All right, those are 3 easy terms there. But the extraction piece, you know, brothers like yourself, you might like to be on that post more than the Class A post.
I don't know. Sometimes that's necessary. You gotta take it there.
It is necessary, absolutely. Because again, we want to be proactive, we want to think ahead, and we want to be ahead of the competition. So, Minister Farrakhan says, I got soldiers you see, and I got soldiers that you don't see that will wipe the earth with you. So them brothers, they not coming to the mosque to fall in and sell no newspapers and beanie pies, but when they've got to pull out that Gatling gun, they definitely gonna be there for it. Not encouraging that, of course. Transportation. I'm sure most of us know this horrible incident right here.
That's Tupac?
Yes. Suge Knight's car. Tupac was in the passenger seat. How do we roll in the motorcade? How do we roll with the principal? So I'm not even gonna go into the motorcade because it gets very detailed. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I missed the Class A and Class C.
No problem. Class A is your uniform, your black on black suit, and Class C is just regular civilian clothing.
Alex, before you go into transportation, because I don't want you to get broken up by topic
Yes, sir.
before we eat. But say one of the brothers was having a party, house party, whatever. You're in Chicago, you had a house party. If I would have had a house party in Chicago, I want some security. Me personally, in Chicago, I want some security. Is this something that the brothers could utilize for something like that?
Yes, sir. They definitely can. I will highly suggest everybody be searched. You can go about your own rules as much as you want to. However, I would suggest no bags, and then everything's checked, everything's searched. So when you do that, you want to let everyone know when you send the invite and the RSVP, be prepared to wait 30 to 40 minutes because there will be a mandatory search. So that way everybody can come in, and this is how you explain to the people, this is how we explain at the mosque. We search you, number one, so everyone's safe. But guess what? Now you can pay attention to the lecture, or in this case, you can enjoy the party because the person next to you, he ain't got no weapons. The person on the other side, they don't have any weapons. And that makes everyone calm, and it brings the tension down, and then you can really enjoy yourself and have a good time. So yes, sir, if you want to have a party, a house party, and you want the brothers to be there doing security, a house party, I would recommend 10 to 12 men.
Really?
You can never have enough.
Yeah.
But seriously, I would have 10 to 12 men. I would have 2 men walking the perimeter, and you can also do a post rotation, and we'll discuss that. 2 men walking the perimeter, at least 4 to 5 men on the inside, 1 man on the inside of the door, another man on the outside of the door. I would have at least 8 to 10, 12 men on that because you want everything to be saturated with your presence. A lion pisses on his territory to make sure that people know this is his territory. So our presence is known in every nook and cranny of the property vicinity that we're in.
And that's a really good point. You may have heard, you'll hear him repeat a lot of phrases that you should pay attention to, but one, you say every move is to?
Every move is a move to intimidate, and if we fight to the death.
Which is to say, if you go into a party and you see that there's 8 security there, even if you're a wild boy, you're not about to be wild that night. That night, you're not about to be wild. And even with, like I mentioned, Tiger's bodyguard, he has 1 bodyguard. And he's a big guy. He's a big guy. If he saw me coming and I asked him for a fair fade, somebody's gonna have to move some furniture. It's gonna be some real rocking and rolling going on. But if I walked up on him and just snuck him and he wasn't ready, it's gonna be a one-hitter quitter. You're going to bed. Right. Now, even as big as he may be, do you think that big guy is willing to fight 4 normal-sized guys? No, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to fight 2 normal-sized guys. A big guy's whole thing is being the big guy. And if it's 1-on-1, he's the big guy. If it's 1-on-2, he's not the big guy anymore. Right. And if it's 1-on-4, he's gonna lose. He's the small guy. Right, exactly. He's the small guy then. And that's a lot of what is being taught. But when he says every move is a move to intimidate, the structure is being utilized to intimidate in a situation like that. With the house party, we'll have to figure out how we would do things like that. Some of those things can just be a showcase for the assassin.
Yes, sir.
If it's your personal birthday party and what have you, you're gonna have it lit, have 200 people there. We'll put a 10 to 12 man detail. That might be just a showcase. Your captain will be able to decide on how that's executed. Your executive will be able to work on how that's gonna work out financially. We'll be able to standardize things as we have more precedents. But this is all of yours. Everything we're building is all of yours, which is to say, when you come here, welcome home. And when you have a need, the Assassin is yours to utilize. We're building this as something for you. So it's organized for you to use. And we have to figure out a way to use it respectfully, but I'm really thankful to you. I think are you ready for?
Yeah, they can start from the number.
Okay, great. We'll let Marcos go first and then we'll follow. You want to tell us about the food?
Yeah, it's Palau, guys. But this is chicken. This is chicken and beef. This is falafel, and it's completely vegan.
If you told us in advance that you're vegan or you don't eat meat or something like that,